What's going on, guys? We are running it back with the rest of our new player replays. Since we didn't get them all done yesterday when I was streaming, I'm just going to be going through them rapid fire, trying to get them all done. That way people can get some feedback on their gameplay, what they're doing right, what they might be doing wrong, and some things to keep in mind for the future. So, without further ado, we'll jump in here. And we got a pretty fun matchup. High Elves versus Skaven has long been one of the more enjoyable matchups in the game. It was one of my favorites when I played multiplayer in Warhammer 2 for LAN battles. I loved playing Skaven back then. And both these factions definitely a little bit on the weaker end of the spectrum, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have a lot of really cool units and a lot of cool techs as well as potential. You can definitely catch people out of position and punish with both of these factions quite easily, just because of the strong missile play that both factions have access to. High Elves are actually going for a rush build, though. Not a lot of range. We've got a little bit more range on the Skaven side. Lots of Night Runner slings, who are a pretty strong unit. Definitely going to need a little help getting away from the Rangers who are chasing them down. But they do have really good speed. Base of 54, lowered by 5 with strength in numbers, of course. Active, giving them the buffed melee defense and lowered speed, as well as a little bit of leadership. So, Rangers engaging the Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers, who are actually doing some big damage to this poor Ranger unit, and Rival Hide Talisman knocking down the melee attack of these guys, making them, you know, completely ineffective against the Tail Slashers here. Also gets Skaven Brew. Really fun item that the Assassin has. This was actually a pretty fun combo back in the day, because you would bring Skaven Brew, Rival Hide Talisman, and you'd have Skrulk, and what you would do is double Assassin and Skrulk was actually pretty tough to deal with. Because the Assassins could beat up a lot of characters, especially with all the debuffs and buffs that they could throw down around the field. And the High Elves would often bring, somebody like Tyrion, or sometimes they would bring a less effective Combat Lord, like Teclis, and even with situations like Tyrion, combat character who's just thick as hell, crazy high stats. With all the debuffs hitting him, he became a lot less effective, and you could really bully him with the double Assassin. And just having one here to hunt down the Mage of Fire right now is honestly working out pretty nicely. Good Burning Head, nothing too devastating. Illyrian Reavers get a great side charge. You see them pinballing all these poor little Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers, but they do have reasonably effective stats over a course of a long grind, and they do put a little damage into these Illyrian Reavers. They do unfortunately break. Very sad for the Skaven, but they got their value back. 500 gold Skaven unit, actually getting some respectable damage against that Ranger, and then some Illyrian Reavers. Can't really complain too much there. Really nice use of Veil of Shadows. This is the Corsair special, locking down the Storm Riders. Gotta get these missiles in place, though, to really punish effectively. Not too terrible, though. The Storm Riders have fire on the move, but they don't have a shield, so the Night Runner Sling should be able to punish them pretty nicely here. Little bit of an unfortunate situation with the Frostheart Phoenix chasing off these clan rats. They are terror routing right now. Not having a good time at all currently. Look at Tyrion over here, man. Yeah, man, this Mutant Rat Ogre, the Master Assassin, kind of clowning on him right now. He's got all his buffs and abilities. This is a situation where you don't really need a lot of this stuff for Tyrion. He's got crazy high stats to begin with. Fate and Riposte is a respectable item. If you're going into some matchups where there are melee characters who can hit him consistently, he is a pretty low HP character. Having this can help him survive a little bit longer, but generally speaking, you want to cut Foe Seeker, Stand Your Ground, and Feint and Riposte, just because they don't do that much. I like Sunfang into factions like the Skaven, Wood Elves, lightly armored factions that bring either lots of chaff or just lots of bodies that they try to trap Tyrion in. This does a ton of damage. And since Tyrion's a combat character with pretty good grind capabilities, even though this only recharges in melee combat, you can usually get like 3 or 4 really good uses out of it, and it can get them almost like 600-700 value if it's really well placed. I really think it's quite nice. If not just for the self-peel, but also just to like punish potentially lightly armored missiles in the backline. And Tyrion also has Heart of Avalorn, which is a pretty big necessity. It's a very effective heal. Makes him quite hard to snipe. Shadow Walkers on the field. Coco just losing a lot of Rangers, man. The High Elves having a really hard time pushing into the backline, and the Night Runner slings, man, are really brutalizing these lightly armored infantry right now. Not the most value in the world, but they got a lot of ammunition left, and one of them here has paid for themselves, while the Teeth Breakers getting some good work done in their own time. God, just gunning down these poor Illyrian Reavers who are just put to flight and shame, man. And the Natty Bubo's back here also doing some good damage, but the Illyrian Reavers kind of making a breakthrough here. Corsair has the infantry to stop this up. Definitely don't want to leave your Natty Bubos to get punished here by cavalry. Luckily, they have respectable armor values, keeping them from taking the worst of that charge. And the Rat Ogres, as well as the Clan Rats, do get in, and they quickly break the poor Illyrian Reavers, who are just going to be running away. Not going to be able to get any real work done when all is said and done. Mutant Rat Ogre taking some good poke from the Shadow Walkers, who have really been the only thing that have gotten some decent value for the High Elves here. Frostheart Phoenix, too, I guess, has done alright. Eshin Sorcerer has been found and is being dealt with. Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers, a little bit of a last-minute rally getting in here. Shadow Walkers out here on this side of the field also trying to fight against these little Clan Rats, doing some good damage, but tons of Night Runners with all this firepower are probably going to easily overwhelm the Shadow Warriors or the Shadow Walkers just because they don't have a ton of HP. They don't have a lot of armor either, and they have no physical resist or anything. All those little pebbles from the Night Runners are going to really start to rack up some incredible value against a very expensive skirmish unit. These guys do cost 1,000 gold, so a little bit unfortunate for the High Elves letting those guys get shot to bits there. They didn't lose any models, though. A heal would be really nice for them right now, just to keep them in the game a little longer. Mutant Rat Ogre soaking up some of the charge damage from the Illyrian Reavers, killing a couple dudes. Warfire Throwers trying to do some work against the Frostheart Phoenix, which is beelining back here to try and get on the Natty Bubo Sharpshooters. Any Rat Ogres back here? Not really. There is a unit of Warp Grinders moving up. Warp Grinders have some cool abilities. They are limited in number, in like how many you can bring out onto the field. They're not super heavily armored. I really would just love to see the Skaven get a mild leadership buff, potentially. Either that, or just give their weapon teams a little bit more armor and health. Because they're just so squishy. Like, I know they're incredibly powerful, but generally speaking, if you just lock down the weapon teams, you're pretty much guaranteed to beat the Skaven, because their melee units and a lot of their other tools are just so insanely weak in every other possible aspect of the game. They just don't perform well once they start to lose their shooting. The Skaven might be faltering here a little bit. The value has been traded back fairly evenly. Pit Fighters being isolated out here in the open field by the Reaver Cav, as well as Tyrion, who's doing some pretty respectable damage to these guys. They're not trading very well either, only about 500 value by the time everything is said and done, I think. Well, they could even get killed before they even reach that threshold. Assassins back here fighting the Shadow Walkers, who would be a really good target for the Night Runner slings, but they're trying to save themselves, shooting these Illyrian Reavers. One unit out of ammo, running into combat. 800 value on these guys, dude. Crazy value, because they're only 450 gold. Warp Grinders chilling in the back here. Rattling guns also kind of hanging around back here, and the Natty Bubos moving up. They've gotten their value back, but they got a little bit more room to work with all the ammo they've got left. Still have plenty of models there as well. The Master Assassin is an anti-infantry fighter. Shadow Walkers also have an anti-infantry bonus, so they might be able to pick this little guy apart. But luckily, there's plenty of clan rats nearby. They are going to be able to fold into combat here. And that Sacred Banner of the Horned Rat with the -8 leadership actually sends the Rangers packing well before they reach their true breaking point, I would say. They are very low, but they could get back in there and grind a little bit more. Frostart Phoenix going down. Not quite trading back its value. Assassin getting caught out by Tyrion, who does shatter him, sending him running off the field. But 1100 on this little guy, plus the good Rivalhide Talisman and Skaven Brew early. Excuse me. Definitely more than enough value for that character. They're about 800, I think, with the item kit that was on this guy. You can probably cut Slippery, but everything else is pretty solid. I don't think that there's too many scenarios where bringing those items you're not going to be able to find at least one good fight to be able to pop them. And those extra stats and, like I said, debuffs for the Skaven, who have pretty bad melee units, can make all the difference in the world for winning a fight. Master Assassin chilling out here. Natty Bubos with 9 volleys left, 16 models, half of their firepower remaining. Definitely going to be able to kill the Illyrian Reavers here, who are finishing off some clan rats. Skaven do lose the number 3. They lost it a little bit ago. And the High Elves potentially going to take this number 2 objective. We've got the Warp Grinders moving in, though. They got a good cast of their snare earlier. Warp Quake is very devastating to cavalry. Reasonably effective against infantry as well. And the Poison Wind Globes, dude. Holy. Get a really beautiful volley on the Rangers and basically kill them completely. A few models left. Not a lot of potential for rallying back here in the late game, though. The Poison Wind Globes do lose some models to the Illyrian Reaver Archers, but a good jump with the Wolf Rats here, who've gotten respectable value. Getting on top of these Illyrian Reavers might be able to save this weapon team, even if they lose, even if Poison Wind Globes lose like 20 of their models. Just because of how effective the shooting is, they are just a really nasty unit to have to fight. The damage over time is really strong. Obviously, the missiles themselves are quite damaging, and 20 models is what a lot of other really high DPS missile units have in terms of models to begin with. So, you know, losing the majority of the 48 units in here doesn't really impact the DPS too terribly. I mean, it's certainly not amazing to lose that many models, but it's still a functional unit at that point. Tyrion's being very disruptive, getting on top of these guys, not really giving them a clean avenue to open fire here. Good rattling gun fire. Corsair really loves this very weapon team-heavy approach, and actually does a pretty good job of utilizing it on a regular basis. Definitely needs to consider bringing maybe a little bit more protection for some of the weapon teams and keeping the formation a little bit more consolidated, just so that there aren't so many opportunities to just, like, dive onto these weapon teams and grind back value. But outside of that, I would say it's pretty effective. Running down some Illyrian Reavers, rattling guns here, getting caught, but Natty Bubos with 2,000 value. Don't need to be shooting Tyrion that much. I'd probably just finish off this Ranger unit there. That way maybe you can get some movement up onto the number 3 and also just get rid of a little bit of cap weight for your opponent. Rattling guns, over pursuing here. They are incredibly slow, but there we go. Good order coming in from Corsair. Rallying them back to the middle and maybe going to be able to finish off this Ranger unit here. Kokosik is doing a good job of getting on top of these weapon teams, just isn't able to lock down the points. It is really close, but the Skaven are really starting to come away with a big lead here. It's pretty much triple cap territory for the High Elves, and with the tattered condition of their forces on the field, I don't think they're going to be able to make up that difference. They've got two very healthy heroes and their lord here. A lot of the value for the Skaven is tied up in Tyrion, but not so much that the value against the rest of the army isn't overwhelming the cost that Tyrion represents for the High Elves here. Was going to charge down the Rattling Guns, but decides better of it, which is probably a pretty good call. He's pretty quick, but being suppressed here, losing quite a bit of speed. Foeseeker actually making a bit of a difference. Okay, you gotta shit or get off the pot here. Like, trying to dodge Rattling Guns isn't a great idea. Like, yeah, these Rangers are going to be able to collapse in here, but Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers and the Pit Fighters are going to get a good charge in on the flank of these guys and probably kill them off. And Tyrion takes a ton of poke from the Rattling Guns there, which I really don't think he needed to let happen. You don't need to be fighting over here, anyways. I know there's some scary weapon teams, but you have to get the caps. And just trying to finish this fight out here on the middle objective would probably be your best bet for getting back in this game. Otherwise, you're just kind of wasting your time. Really good bounce from the Burning Head off the wall and going through all of the Clan Rats here. A little bit of friendly fire, but not too terrible at all. Big win for the High Elves here on the middle. They just don't quite have enough time, I think. Corsair has a very firm grasp on the number one. Night Runner just representing a reasonable amount of cap weight here with the Sorcerer. Brutal miscast damage from the Veil of Shadows. Oh my god. What was that, dude? Horrendous. But popping it on the Rattling Gun, you might wonder why he's doing that, but the way Veil of Shadows works, anything getting into the vortex can't move, and it's actually got a big radius. It's much bigger than the circle here. It's actually almost like 35 full meters. That's a little too big. But a little bit bigger than this circle. Here you go. This middle circle that I just drew, it's actually pretty representative of the effect radius. It's deceptively large. The Rattling Guns can just sit in the middle of this and actually continue to fire out from here if they want to. Also just good for, you know, forcing the Illyrian Reavers elsewhere. They do find a good engagement against the Night Runners. Probably would want to send the Eshin Sorcerer over there just because, you know, single cap is all you need. You do get enough movement over here to cap the number 3. It would have helped if the High Elves hadn't really overextended up in here and just held their Rangers back. I know they're probably going to get shot down, but better for them to be holding this point as long as possible, denying it to the Skaven, than to just, like, throw them away. They die anyways up here, and then the Skaven just get a free cap with absolutely no time wasted on the attempt. You know, not amazing, but this has been a pretty, this is a pretty odd Skaven build. Definitely one that is going to be pretty difficult to rock up into with the typical anti-Skaven builds. Just because the mass weapon teams and the really good Veils of Shadows from Corsair are honestly pretty good at shutting down the back pressure. I've been very impressed by Corsair's improvements over time as well. Has really optimized this build a lot, and is kind of doing what you should as a newer player, playing a weaker faction. Finding your own distinctive style is the number one thing that you need to do, right? Corsair's definitely done that with a very off-meta build. Testing units out, just figuring things, just like mulling things over in general. And then really like iterating in different matchups with what kind of units that you're mixing into the formation, because it used to be the same build every time for Corsair, but now I'm seeing lots of like Night Runners in certain matchups. I'm seeing Natty Boobos in some matchups, not in others, just depending on how aggressive the enemy faction is. The Rattling Guns. The Rattling Guns are a pretty consistent appearing unit. but the way that they're utilized has changed a lot, and they've been getting a lot of value for Corsair lately. So I'm just really impressed to see somebody playing for the love of the game and bringing a lot of off-meta units and just doing really well with them. That is pretty damn impressive, and I gotta give a lot of kudos for that. You know, one day the Skaven might get some buffs or a new DLC, and they might end up being a top meta faction like back in the day when Khorne and when Omens of Destruction came out. Khorne was a pretty like mid-tier faction at best. You know, I kind of loved the double Skull Cannon builds, but when Khorne got the Omens and their Skull Cannons got reworked, they became very meta and were very strong. And my win rate shot up immensely just by virtue of those buffs. So Corsair might be the beneficiary at some point, and then he'll be the one laughing as everybody else kind of migrates over to playing these the Raki. Such is the way that games like this go. Things just change over time, adjust to the new meta, and live life and love it as much as possible in the good times that you got. Good value on the Shadow Walkers. They both did reasonably well, but they just weren't able to carry the game alone. One of these didn't do amazingly. I would have liked to see maybe a little bit more defensive play with both of these guys kind of working together with the Skirmish Cav to try and control one side of the battlefield while the Rangers and Tyrion and the Fire Mage try to take care of the other. That might have been a pretty good like tactical macro level of approaching the battlefield for Coco. But I like the build. The execution was pretty solid. This is a pretty tricky matchup for the High Elves, though, and they just weren't quite able to carry this. Maybe having the White Lion chariots out earlier would have been nice, because these chariots against the Skaven can be very devastating, because their weapon teams get folded up, since they're infantry-sized, by AP chariots like this. And these guys have 30% missile resistance, which is pretty juicy. They just do happen to be very expensive, but maybe a build-up strategy for the High Elves would have been good. Alright, enough talking about that one. Let's move on. Dowie versus Kislev. Dwarves very good against a lot of other shooting factions. And against Kislev, I think they've got a pretty good situation here. The Dowie warriors, with their shields and armor, are usually able to just withstand the focus of a lot of the Kislev missiles. The only thing they really need to fear is Streltsy, which we do see here. We've got two of them, but you do have Iron Drakes, you got a Bolt Thrower. They can slowly pick these guys apart from at range and do good damage, while the Iron Drakes can shoot down any Zargard moving up. They won't do a ton of damage to Zargard because these guys have good armor. They will be very disruptive, though, and really help keep them from closing the gap effectively. One Dragon Slayer, as well as Malachi, and of course the Dowie Warriors, as I mentioned, with their silver shields, going to be very, very durable, surviving the armored Kossars here. I do like the armored Kossars to open, but I really like the armored Kossar great weapons as a second wave. Having a couple of them as well is pretty nice, because they can actually beat dwarf warriors in melee combat, since they have the AP on their melee attacks, which can be really nice. The pistols just aren't super useful in this matchup outside of circumstantially shooting down gyrocopters, as well as poking miners a little bit. Miners aren't that expensive, though, and you usually just outgrind them in melee combat anyways. It is decent to have the pistols, but I kind of like Kossars in this in the Dowie matchup. That might sound kind of silly. Why would you bring an unarmored bow unit against the dwarves? But Kossars are really cheap. They're 450 gold. Their range is pretty impressive. They've got 450 range, I believe, which is generally enough to be able to shoot Ekron's miners and just regular old miners from a far enough distance that if your opponent did bring like a ranger line, Rangers have to spend a lot of time closing the gap, and you can just bring a very wide build against the dwarves. With very solid leadership, you can poke gyros from a pretty good distance, and, you know, Rangers may have shield, and, you know, 40 armor isn't abysmal for a skirmish piece, but they don't have a ton of HP at only 5,400. You can generally shoot these guys down with Kossars pretty effectively. Especially the 450 gold regular variants. You don't really need the spears, of course. Against the dwarves, you don't really have any large targets. Really good Iron Drake fire here. This is something you can't do. You gotta check your ranges when you're playing the Dowie, because, of course, they're gonna bring missiles, like 9 times out of 10. And as you can see, Iron Drake's actually pretty effective at gunning down units if you give them the opportunity, because their missiles pierce through models. So if you give them enfilading fires where, like, these armored Kossars were lined up kind of like how the blue line was to the Dowie formation, and you just get fat shots down the entire flank there. It's a lot of value to give up to the dwarves. Check the range. You could have just kept the armored Kossars, like, up here. You already capped the point. You don't need to leave your units on here. You kind of want to try and force the Dowie forward by weakening the objective itself, so your opponent's like, okay, maybe I can, like, trickle some guys up here. Then you want to, like, spring the jaws shut by really focus firing down whatever units they throw out of their main formation, because the Dowie are very heavily committed onto one point. They have to get a double cap at some point, mind you. Jumping them as they start to pull their formation apart is the best way to counter the dwarves. Otherwise, if you're diving into them like these Kosovo dervishes are, you're just going to value trade horrendously. Dwarves are way too stalwart for this. Their artillery crews, they're fairly squishy, but they are more, they're better in melee combat, better leadership, a little bit more durable on the stats than almost all of the other artillery crews in the game. They're a little bit too difficult to kill, in my opinion, for reckless dives like this to really be worth it. Better to just try and survive the bolt throwers. Bolt throwers are fairly effective as an artillery piece. They've got 8 models, they got a lot of ammo, and they do a reasonable amount of damage. But they just can't win it all for you. And depth box just doesn't need to be... You don't need to do this. This is not something you should be trying to do against the dwarves. If they're on one objective and you got a double cap, that's all you need. Don't overextend into their main force. The Streltsy just aren't going to get much of anything done here. The Akshina ambushers moving out on the flank is kind of nice. You can see they're putting some shots down on the Iron Drakes. Rangers, though, very, very well done by Tabs, utilizing 2 ranged tools in conjunction with one another to punish the Akshinas. Akshinas have to choose who they're going to fire at. Iron Drakes are the better option, but the Iron Drakes are going to be able to close the gap here pretty quickly, and thanks to their heavy armor, they're not taking enough damage for the Akshinas to really finish these guys off. One good volley coming in here just does brutal damage. Almost half their HP gone in one shot. Good grief, man. This is just a classic not knowing how to play against the dwarves kind of situation. Just stay back. Using Little Grom here to shoot the Dowie from behind the hills actually really smart. Could have been doing that the entire time. The Akshinas also chilling here, waiting for an opportunity. Streltsy get massacred. They didn't get any value to speak of. These Akshinas out here, they also kind of got manhandled. And I think it's going to be a pretty short game. Kislev's just losing way too many units, and the value is not that good for them. Dwarves are going to have a pretty easy time getting up on the number 2, and the Zargard are wasting their time hanging out back here. Because the Dwarves are going to be able to cap this away pretty quickly. Streltsy, they'll be able to hold for a while and do reasonably well in melee combat. But they could get focused by the Iron Drakes here, and the Dowie Warriors can just, like, kind of walk around them. There's no reason for the Dowie Warriors to fight the AP infantry in melee combat. play unfairly. Don't give your opponent any advantage, and you'll profit pretty immensely in domination mode as a general rule of thumb. Streltsy shooting down the gyrocopters. Gyros are very good against Little Grom, but you probably need multiples of them, all focus firing, to kill them quickly, and the second you see the Akshinas open up on you, get the Gyros out of there. Gyros are actually not very good at pushing the back lines for the Dwarves. They're a good response piece. Gyros are very good at running in and dropping bombs and shooting off enemy units from the main formation. That's why Dowie tend to do best when they're able to fight from their defensive formations. Because they can protect all the missile pieces, they can trade very well at range, and the Gyros can come in, drop their bombs, get the flamethrowers or the steam guns online, and just get some really, really solid value before being unsummoned and getting a little bit of a rebate, and then the Dowie can like push another objective as need be. They do take the number 2. Slayers hanging out here on the point. Winged Lancers do get a good charge off on the Dowie Warriors, but these guys, like I said, very heavily armored. Winged Lancers, solid unit in this matchup, but not for running down the heavily armored infantry. They're much better at diving missile pieces that are isolated and alone and don't have a lot of support, as well as hammering down Slayers if you see any of them. Also, Doomseekers are very vulnerable to Winged Lancer charges. That's really what the Kislev forces should be focusing on, but their priorities are just a little bit out of whack here for winning this game. Like, the Iron Drakes have just gotten tremendous value. All of them have paid for themselves already. Except for this guy. They're literally, like, 40 value off of paying for themselves, though, so it shouldn't be too long in the coming. The Flamethrower Iron Drakes have been great. Just good disruption, killing an Akshin out here on the flank, doing big damage to the Armored Kossars. It does look like Little Grom went down here. Big overextension by it. I don't know why it was sent so far forward by Depbox, but that's the way it goes sometime. Playing a little more disciplined as Kislev would have definitely given them a better fighting chance here. They just overextended with their missiles and tried to fight over the number 1 objective without really needing to. I just need to harp on this because you saw Kislev, the Kislev player here, not do it. If you got 2 points against the Dowie, you are winning. If they are slow pushing a second point, you are winning because you have faster units across the board. You can force them into kill boxes with your missiles and then punish them as they're separated from the majority of their support, and you'll just grind out better value over the course of the game if that's the case. Iron Drakes wrecking the Zargard here. Really painful. I like Zargard in this matchup, honestly. They've got really good stats. Good armor and silver shields means they can be a really nice unit in a pinch to hold points. But I honestly believe that the Zargard Great Weapons are better overall, just because they've also got really good armor, and they've got the AP, so they can really clear out Dowie Warriors, who you honestly kind of struggle with as the Kislevite armies. Like, you don't really want to use your missiles to try and shoot down the Dwarf Warriors, so you need some chaff clear, in my opinion, and a Zargard Great Weapon can easily kill 3 or 4 Dowie Warriors over time without too many issues. Zarina has not been casting a lot of magic either, and I don't really think this is a very good lore of magic against the Dwarves. Zarina's lore, the lore of Ice, is better against other factions for sure, but I think that the lore of Tempest is Kislev's best bet here, and the reason for that is you get Blizzard. Blizzard is an amazing spell. It hard punishes armor, even with the spell resistance that dwarves have. Blizzard, with the full, like, 4 AP damage that it does more when it's overcast, is more than enough to be able to kill any Dowie infantry unit. It can be very good for killing rangers, It does respectable damage to Iron Drakes. Probably not the best target for Blizzard, but just getting rid of the infantry is really damn strong. So don't discount it at all. Zarina's better in other matchups. Just isn't really her strongest suit. And Deathbox just kind of let her get beaten into the dirt by the Dragon Slayer. I mean, I'm not sure what Deathbox is like paying attention to. But truth be told, domination mode, if you're microing around and making good macro decisions, you don't really need to over-focus your micro. You don't need to, your actions per minute don't really need to be all that high to take games against most people in domination mode, if you're positioning your forces correctly. Lots of people over-rely on their micro to get them out of bad positions, to get them back into a winning position, rather than just taking it slow, getting units into the right scenarios where they just get good value trades without having to do all that extra work. And then you can just kind of sit back a little bit, make sure that you keep your lines nice and tidy and you're focus firing on the right targets, and then if you do end up in a situation where you get caught off guard, you've got way more time and attention to then be microing very intensively. So you just like save yourself a little bit of time and effort, as well as, you know, potential carpal tunnel in the future if you're just like furiously like spam clicking all over the place trying to bail yourself out of scenarios that you really didn't need to be getting yourself into in the first place. So that's kind of what I feel like Kislev's doing right now. They're like maneuvering around a little haphazardly too, not really diving great targets with a lot of their units. This is a good dive here. Cosified Dervishes onto Rangers is one of the better jumps I've seen from Kislev here. The tickets, Kislev was doing well early, but they were trading so badly for so long. This is a little deceptive for how this game has gone. The Dowie have just gotten to play from a value lead the entire time and play at their own pace, and getting this triple cap here is pretty brutal, man. This is definitely, it feels bad for Kislev. Iron Drakes with just an insane amount of value, finally getting shot by multiple Akshina units. If both of these guys could just fire a couple volleys off here, they'll be able to kill the Iron Drakes pretty quickly. Because, yeah, they've got a ton of armor, but they've got pretty low HP, so they can get picked apart pretty quickly. And Akshinas actually do have pretty good armor piercing. 10 AP is actually pretty significant. It's not as much as like Streltsy or proper gun units, but for a crossbow with 150 range, that's way more than your average crossbow unit. Like the Rangers, nowhere near the 10 AP. Like 40% more, or I mean honestly 100% more AP than Rangers if you really want to think about it. Not quite 100%, but like, you know, like 90% more armor piercing. With almost the same, actually more models, is pretty crazy. Akshinas are a very underrated unit for Kislev, especially in matchups where you're going up against pretty heavily armored units, and also a lot of other ranged tools. These guys with Stalk are quite disruptive. They're able to like jump out of the shadows, get a good volley off. They can pull back, maneuver around some, get into another position where they can then open fire and really chip down a lot of units. Firing into the Dowie Warrior is not that great for them, though. Like I said, you know, shields, armor, both of those in tandem, very good for withstanding fire from these Akshinas. The gyrocopter's opening up now, getting a little bit of damage. Not the flamethrower gyrocopters, so not super devastating, but steady, consistent pressure nonetheless. Dowie just using Slayers back here just to stuff up the Kislevites. Streltsy just keep getting compromised and just haven't been able to trade very well. The value has swung back a little bit for Kislev, but just not nearly enough for them to be able to get back into this game before the Dowie just grind this out. Really good Dowie play. Kislev, don't push Dowie on the 1 point that they're sitting on. Terrible idea under all circumstances. You're just setting yourself up for failure. Better to let them approach you, even if you don't trade, like, super stupendously. As they're advancing into you, your trading, I guarantee, will be better than if you're advancing on the Dowie. You can intercept Dowie reinforcements much easier than they can intercept yours. So if you're trading evenly with the dwarves, you can usually hang on to 2 objectives. Just because they're so slow, the dwarves have to establish very firmly on 2 points if they're going to win a game. They don't push well at all. So if you are able to break the majority of their initial formation and hang on to 2 objectives and force the Dowie to continually be throwing cap weight out to try and contest other points on the field, you'll almost always be advantaged in that particular state of affairs. Because these guys just take forever to get up on the objectives. You don't want them reinforcing points they already hold. You want them to be having to advance onto points that may not necessarily be easily held by you, but are forcing them to, like, centralize their forces, leaving other points weakened with only, like, a token, like, force that can resist potential dives by your infantry, and you can kind of overwhelm other objectives while the Dowie are concentrating on another, or just being able to intercept their units as they're trying to get up on a central point and value trade against the Dowie that way. So that's a little bit of a better luck next time, Dowie. But, you know, don't give up. You'll be able to find some good opportunities to get some more learning under your belt, and it is not the easiest matchup for Kislev anyways, so no shame in losing to the dwarves. Especially as a newer player, they're probably one of the toughest ones to, like, really wrap your head around how to counter them. Direwolf versus Mace Hindu here. Tomb Kings against Vampire Coast can be really tricky for Tomb Kings. You don't have, you know, typically speaking, Vampire Coast, their infantry are just abysmal, right? Like, deckhand mobs are 250 gold, and really the only thing good about them is their cap weight. And if you kill the Vampire Coast missiles, more often than not, you're going to win the game, right? For the Tomb Kings, though, their infantry not only are abysmal in their own right, I mean, you can see stats-wise, they got better melee defense, and that's, like, it, really. They got less HP, they got way less cap weight, which is the biggest problem for the Tomb Kings here. And there's some really good long-range shooting that the Tomb Kings can bring to the table here as well. There's pretty solid Lord options. So I would say that it's probably a little bit favored for the Vampire Coast. One way that you can shoot Vampire Coast down, though, is by bringing skeleton archers. Skeleton archers and bows in general against the Vampire Coast tend to be a pretty reliable counter. Vampire Coast just don't have a lot of really good answers to, like, mass bow fire because they're very low armor across the board. Outside of Depth Guard and Rotting Prometheans and Rotting Leviathans, you're talking about, like, 30 armor being a highlight for the faction in terms of what they've got available to them. They just get absolutely pin-cushioned by a lot of factions. And the Tomb Kings have pretty good archers. Their skeleton archers are pretty long range, they hit reasonably hard, and most importantly, they're cheap. So, I can highly recommend them here. But we don't see any of those guys. We see a Bone Giant, Chosen of the Gods, and a Screaming Skull Catapult. Screaming Skull Catapults are okay. The Bone Giants, I would advise against. They're a big target. Carronates are going to get a lot of value against them. Bone Giants can be fairly inaccurate, and the only thing that Bone Giants will be really good against is, like, shooting the flanks of Depth Guard, shooting rotting Prometheans and rotting Leviathans, and even there it's going to take a long time for this guy to get his value back. They just don't have a lot of ammo. I would really love to see Bone Giants just get 25 ammo, and I think they would be a pretty respectable artillery single entity. You can see, I mean, it's not that they don't do good damage when they hit, it's just that they hit a little infrequently at times, and their limited ammo means if there's not a bunch of really expensive units out on the field, it takes quite a while for them to really rack up the value. Cetra on the hill. I think this is a horse Cetra game. There's a lot of good, like I said, a lot of good shooting for the Vampire Coast, and Cetra just gets absolutely obliterated by handguns, hand cannons. Even the pistol mobs for the Vampire Coast can do pretty reasonable damage against him, so there's a lot that he needs to be aware of and watch out for. Good summon here, blocking up the Skeleton Horsemen, and handguns opening up now on those Skeleton Horsemen who are stuck in the open field and just getting absolutely brutalized. Tomb Kings also just give up a triple cap. Your opponent is almost never ever going to be able to get a triple cap on you at the start of the game. Don't just sit back and let that happen. Your Skeleton Horsemen, they don't trade perfectly. They're not like they're not like the top tier counter to Scurvy Dogs, but they do reasonable damage to Scurvy Dogs. And I'm pretty sure that they're able to outgrind them as long as they're not outnumbered or surrounded or anything. So, getting your cavalry out here to cap up a point early and maybe push the Scurvy Dogs back a little bit would be really nice. Wraithstorm, not great against infantry, but in this circumstance, takes about half the HP off the Skeleton Warrior. So not too terrible, and Cetra just getting deleted here. This is going to be a pretty quick game in favor of the Vampire Coast. I do think this is one of the better Vampire Coast matchups, just because Tomb Kings are very reliant on ranged DPS, and their ranged DPS isn't amazing against Vampire Coast, but this is a little bit of a matchup and build check for Hindu. And Direwolf is kind of playing the wrong units into the Vampire Coast here. Bringing a lot of what the Tomb Kings bring against other factions, and that, I mean, obviously that works against most factions, but Vampire Coast, you gotta play the matchup a little bit differently than you normally would. Chosen of the Gods, they can do well here, but they struggle mostly because they're just shooting chaff most of the game otherwise. Like, the things that they do well against are monstrous infantry, expensive infantry, and big single entities. So I think Chosen of the Gods are better in reserve here. Just like mass skeleton archers would be able to poke down all these deck droppers pretty quickly. They'd be able to poke the deckhand mobs and be able to kite away from the fire of the handguns. Once you wear down the front line for the Vampire Coast, and you think you've got an opportunity, that's when you can, like, trickle up your Nekar Warriors. Tomb Guard, Shielded Tomb Guard, very good in this matchup. I would say you should probably bring a couple of Shielded Tomb Guard, both for cap weight and their silver shields and durability against the shooting of a lot of the infantry that the Vampire Coast bring, gun line-wise. And then you can use your Skeleton Horsemen to, like, get up into the backfield and run stuff down, as well as your Skeleton Archers continuing to poke down and focus fire other units, and also just keep the airways nice and clear. Yeah, Screaming Skull Catapult gonna go down here. You can see it didn't get its value back. Bone Giant doing respectable damage, but pretty much out of ammo and still doesn't even have its value back. Very painful game for the Tomb Kings here. We'll just keep fast-forwarding through this. What I would recommend is, I do like Skeleton Warriors for the most part here. Like a couple of Skeleton Warriors, max Skeleton Spearmen, just because the spears can poke down Mournghouls and Animated Hulks so efficiently, because both of those units have pretty low armor, Morghuls don't like fighting cheap spears. Same with animated Hulks. The only things you need to worry about are the gun units and the scurvy dogs, as well as, you know, like carronades and artillery. But, you know, the carronades have been crumbled out here pretty effectively. What the hell killed them? I don't even know. Oh, the Ushabti summon killed the carronades. Okay, so this is something that you need to be careful of if you're bringing artillery. Both carronades were right next to one another, which is fine, but then the Ushabti summon from Realm Souls came out, and it killed both carronades. Artillery does need to stay relatively close together. One carronade here and another here, though, would be the best bet. Back to the Tomb King's build, you've got the warriors, you've got the max spears, you've got skeleton archers in mass numbers. You want to cap an objective early with some skeleton horse archers, backed up by like a single skeleton horseman or something. You want, I would say maybe Kotep would be really good here, because he's got bound sandstorms, which are pretty reasonably good at clearing out chaff infantry and can be quite damaging. You can use those to cast onto the back line of the handguns and wear them out that way, as well as hitting deckhand mobs and stuff like that as well. You've got the Lich Staff for Kotep as well, which increases cooldowns by 15 seconds every time he casts, which is really strong. He can be very disruptive for factions that rely on magic to get good value or healing, which the Vampire Coast very much the case for them in both respects. What else do you need? One Sepulchral Stalker in reserve, Chosen of the Gods in reserve, just in case there's Prometheans and Depth Guard. Both of those units, shooting attacks can be very damaging for both the Depth Guard and the Rotting Prometheans and Leviathans. Obviously, some Skeleton Horsemen in reserve is really strong. Skeleton Horsemen are actually what you use to cap points as the Tomb Kings, because they have 4 cap weight as opposed to your Chaff Infantry, which only have 2. And I do like having a couple Tomb Guard in this matchup, but they're slow. The Tomb Guard are there to, like, lock down objectives that you already hold. And they can just be, like, some durable objective holders that don't mind getting poked by, like, the gunnery mobs with their pistols, as well as even the handgunners can struggle to clear out a Tomb Guard unit. You're not going to be bringing a ton of them. You really want to go with, like, mass numbers as the Tomb Kings. Lots of swarming. Some carrion would be really good, too. And you want to just, like, wear down the Vampire Coast units slowly but surely over the course of a long game. Just make sure you got one objective early as the Tomb Kings, and then value trade until you can get up on the other point. And if you really need to, you can get a triple cap. And, you know, value game is how the Tomb Kings win most matchups. Especially important here going into another faction with really strong shooting. That's typically how these ranged factions play into one another, is, you know, combined arms, just trying to outtrade the other, trying to outtrade your opponent and win that way. Yeah, just a solid triple cap for the Vampire counts. Clock's winding down. It evened out a little bit here at the end for the Tomb Kings. That tends to happen, you know, like, you're going to get good value trades if your opponent's fighting over all 3 points somewhere. Somewhere it's happy hour, right? Somewhere it's value trade hour on the battlefield, but generally speaking, if you get down like 3,000 or 4,000 value early, it's very hard to be able to make a comeback here. Tomb Kings did respectable, though, grinding back the value. Just don't bring Cetra on the Sphinx. This is one of the matchups where he's at his worst. The Bone Giant, I would not really be trying out here. One Sepulchral Stalker, Chosen the Gods in reserve. You don't need all these guys in reserve. The Hekara Warriors, I like having. Some Horsemen and Skeleton Horse Archers, nice. Some Carrion, nice. Necrosphinx, a little bit too much of an investment, maybe. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to try and not do this too terribly often because it does take a reasonable amount of time to make these build lists. But I think it's honestly pretty important here so that our Tomb Kings player has a little bit of an idea of what they can do in the future. You're probably just going to want to spam spells and get Restless Dead proccing as often as possible. Sandstorm, Restless Dead. You want to make Kotep as cheap as possible. He's very squishy. He cannot go into combat. He's basically just here to cast spells, and he does have a good spell kit. Niru's very good. Upgraded, you get 36 seconds of 40% Fizz Res, which against Vampire Coast is really strong because they don't have a lot of magic attack. They have, like, a handful of units like Sirens, which you don't see too terribly often anyways. Shade Wraith Gunners are the other big one. But just being able to give Fizz Res to trade a little bit in the shooting department, really nice. Highly recommend proccing that as often as possible on your units that are taking damage. And here we go. Start making this build. Blessed Legion's actually pretty good because they sunder armor, so if there are heavily armored units for the Vampire Coast, they can at least help in the value trade against those guys, giving the horse archers as well as regular skeleton horsemen a little bit more of an opportunity to value trade there. Do so effectively. Couple Tomb Guard in reserve. Couple Scully Horse Archers, couple Horsemen. You bring, of course, Kotep, like I said. You want to cut as much as possible, make him as cheap as possible. Cut that, get this, get this. My Will Be Done is only good if you're able to stay near the front line. Kotep doesn't do that well. Arcane Conduit, the power recharge is nice, but I really like to pace out my magic over the course of a long game. And honestly, magic in the late game is arguably maybe a little bit better than magic early on in Dom, because people are really geared up and expecting spells early. Having magic in the late game to continue to influence fights in your favor, I think is a little bit better overall. I do think some Skeleton Chariots can be good here to clear out chaff. A couple of them. These guys can run over Depth Guard in a pinch if they have to. They're also really good against the deckhand mobs. Clearing out the cap weight of your opponent's very important. You can do the Screaming Skull Catapult, and you got 550 gold to work with here. You can cut one of the Skeleton Spears and bring a Tomb Guard Halberd, just for some good cap weight. Silver Shields, AP, a little bit more damage output against Morn Ghouls, Hulks. They can square up against Depth Guard a little bit. Not going to do a ton there, but better than nothing. I don't know about melee Shopti here. You don't really need them. A Sepulchral Stalker's really nice. Maybe you do want to bring the, maybe you do want to bring a Necrosphinx just in case against Bix. Nah, just another Sepulchral Stalker. Like, all of these guys in tandem, good focus fire from all of your shooting would generally be enough to kill a Rotting Leviathan. You got bodies to be able to, like, hold up the rest of your opponent's army for the most part. You should be fairly advantaged there. A couple Nekar Warriors, not a bad idea. And 1,100 gold, or 1,000 gold left. What do you want? Oh yeah, the Carrion to control the airways, and then one more Skelly Warrior, and that's pretty good anti-Vampire Coast army for the Tomb Kings. You can do Cetra, but Cetra on horse is better. You can also do Arcan. Arcan to Spirit Leech your opponent. Soul Blight can lower armor as well on big stuff. Fate of Buna's not that great in this matchup, but against Depth Guard it can do reasonably well, so maybe you bring Arcan with the Fate of Buna and Spirit Leech. Spirit Leech SEs, Fate of Buna on Depth Guard. And he's also got Liber Mortis, which is pretty strong you know, Fizz Res, Leadership, and a Radius for 15 seconds can be nice. You only get 3 uses, but you can get some pretty impactful uses out of it. And he's also got Summons if you really want, which can be good going into the Tomb Kings, or into the Vampire Coast, because you can summon the zombies on their shooting, and, you know, Vampire Coast shooting units have awful stats, so these skeleton warriors can actually kill those. It's pretty nice. There's definitely some meat there. You know, Cetra may be the most powerful lord, but he's not good in literally every single matchup. There are definitely times that Arcan and Kotep can be really good. More like Toongon, okay. Very funny. You got me. Okay, Marcusry and Popflux here. So, I watched Popflux lose to the Skaven, Popflux actually won the Skaven game against Corsair a couple of tournaments ago, but did struggle very hard protecting the archers. I'm very curious to see if Popflux has taken my advice and is going to be much more careful with the positioning on the Archer Corps and protecting it with the Spears and Rangers. Half Archers are really strong. I mean, there's really not a lot of matchups where they're bad. There's definitely some where they're better than they're better in some matchups than in others, but I think against the Skaven, generally speaking, they're going to outvalue the Skaven slings of any type, as well as do reasonably good damage to a lot of the weapon teams. Giselles are really the only weapon team that has a silver shield and good enough armor to be able to survive archer poke. The High Elves, they can kill Poison Wind Globes pretty quickly, as well as Warp Fire Thrower is going to struggle. They could potentially get in range of the Avalanche Mortars too. These guys have 250 range, which is kind of the gold standard for, like, the longer range weapon teams in terms of, like, range. But archers just have crazy, like, distance and accuracy. 180 on a missile piece that costs 450 gold's kind of wild. So I do really like that for the High Elves. This is not what you want to do with your missile lines. You need to keep them staggered, right? Because if your opponent has, like a wind spell, it's going to hit all these guys and do big damage to them. And we do actually have Scorch for, Ikit Claw here. He might get a ton of value casting this. I mean, it does a shit ton of damage, man. And you can even upgrade it, and you're asking, like, well, what's the point of doing that? Well, it actually increases the duration that it lasts out. If it's active for 3 seconds, it might hit 3 of these guys. If they're all lined up, though, and just a big old line, and you cast the Overcast Scorch, it gives double duration on the time that Scorch is active on the field, and it'll hit all of these archers, and it does a ton of damage, like I said. 36 damage, none of it AP, is pretty substantial, and these archers have, like, no armor, so they just be eating it, man. 2 good Scorches will honestly take out most of their health. Definitely want to jump on that now. Very good opportunity to get max value with that Scorch right now. Typically you see Flensing Rune from Ikit. But it's fun to see people using some of the different spells. We do get a Scorch. It is going to miss, though. A little bit out of position. The archers scooted up at just the right time. Ikit also misses with the Warp Lightning, but Doomflare's coming in. Popflux, man, you gotta keep the spacing in mind, man. So, like, the Doomflare's getting 1 charge on these archers. Because they impact on 1, and their charge animation is active, if they contact any other models as they're running over 1 unit, they'll be doing, like, extra damage, essentially, to the other units that they also run into. So, going to be very effective at running over these archers here, as well as tying up multiple units and blobbing them up substantially. You see how packed together they are now? Like sardines. That's why the checkerboard formation is so important. Because it's really hard for the Doomflayers to, like, shut down multiple units at once like they are right now. And you need your spears and your rangers to be screening for these guys. Taking a little too long to get in here and help them out. Oh, and the avalanche mortars, dude. Oh my god. Oh, nice. 1,200 value in 2 volleys. Yeah. This is why you can't do this against the Skaven. They got too many good tools to punish bad positioning, and unfortunately that's what's going on here for you, Pop Flux. Just gotta be more disciplined, man. Look, you're gonna take damage in any matchup. Having the discipline to just know when and where you can afford to take your damage and survive through it is really important in domination mode. The avalanche mortars are just like dunking on you, and you've got your guys going after the warp lightning cannon out here, which is not that threatening. It's like way out of position for one. You also, you know, don't have that many expensive SEs, or at least not SEs that are easy to hit. Now you got one good thing going for you, which is Tyrion hunting down Ikit. Great call. Tyrion very good at hunting this guy down. I would almost always advise just leaving Tyrion on chasing Ikit duty. But the Lurid Reavers need to be trying to shut down the avalanche mortars right now. The two of them in conjunction would be able to do that also. And then with Rahagir's Pride coming up, that's pretty awesome. Clan Rats just aren't cut out for, like, double duty. Skaven, you know, don't need to be playing all 3 points. They kind of are right now. I would advise against that as a general rule. It's just not going to work out for you too often as the Skaven. Most factions in general can't play all 3 points. There's a very small handful that can. And those tend to be some of the best factions in domination mode, mind you. Skaven, Beastmen, Khorne. Khorne a little less powerful than the other two just because you don't have magic, but regardless, very strong units on an individual basis. And really fast units as well. Those are the factions that can push all 3 objectives at once and, like, really tear their opponent apart by doing so. Skaven cannot do that. Skaven don't have the cavalry and mobility to be able to pull that off. They're a little slower than most factions. Not to say that they don't have quick units. They do. Like, they've got Doomflayers, they've got Rat Ogres, they've got Eshin Triads and Death Runners, but those are pretty pricey, and they can't just be everywhere all at once. So you need to be a little bit more sparing with what you're doing as the Skaven at times. This is very misleading, by the way. Skaven are definitely advantaged here. A lot of damage just got tied up in the avalanche mortars here. They survived with 2/3 of their models, and 8 models on the avalanche mortars with 8 volleys. They can probably get another 2,000 value with that much ammo and that many models left. And they do rally in here. They just need to punish any blobs that develop, and there's a lot of blobbed up units here, man. They are killing the Doomflayers, which is really nice. The Skaven playing all 3 points. You can see where they're kind of overplaying their hand a bit. What the hell is this? Hello? Was this Final Transmutation? Oh, beautiful cast. Ah, okay. And it's upgraded. It could take a ridiculous amount of damage here, man. Not great for the Skaven to potentially lose their Lord if he gets hit by another one of those Final Transmutations. That could be a way that Popflux gets back in this. Popflux is staying scrappy, not giving up here, but is double capped. Doesn't have a lot of units out on the field, honestly. Doesn't really have a concentrated, strong position anywhere either. Yeah, those archers, man, just getting mulched early is just so painful. Spearmen moving up. Council Guard chilling. Council Guard don't need to be chasing. The halberds cannot catch stuff, you know. Don't waste your time. Leave them on a point to hold that point, or the best thing the Council Guard could do is they bodyguard for the avalanche mortars. And here's the thing about the avalanche mortars. People don't realize this, but since they're a mortar unit, they can actually fire out of their own units without getting obstructed. You can stack the Avalanche Mortars and the Council Guard on top of one another, and it's going to be very hard for your opponent to deal with the Avalanche Mortars at that point. Highly recommend it. Rat Ogres, bodyguarding though, pretty effectively, pushing back the Illyrian Reavers here, keeping the Avalanche Mortars safe and alive, and they're getting some shots off here. Not super accurate, very fortunate for the High Elves, but they've still got plenty of ammo left. They will probably be able to finish off these two spears, maybe even before they're able to cap this point up, although the White Lions, the Pure Main Company, are here also. Icket running these guys over. Icket probably needs to pull out. He's pretty low. Skaven can't really afford to lose their lords because of their bad leadership. Skaven are looking like they're on the back foot now, man. Poplux has really dragged back the value, and if you kill Icket and shut down the Avalanche Mortars, you're probably going to be able to win the game. This is the issue with playing all 3 points, man. Like, the good damage early from the Skaven was great and all, but they lost their artillery, they lost all their weapon teams, and I've said it many times, you just can't win with your melee units as the Skaven. Like, they're just too low quality. They can't pull it off alone. Skaven have to have some shooting. They have to be able to punish the infantry with that shooting, and then their Rat Ogres and Wolf Rats and their Eshin Triads and everything else can clear up the other tools that your opponent has mobility-wise. Otherwise, you're just putting yourself in a big hole, man. Being on top of your summons is also another big deal. It's not a bad idea to bank up supplies and bring big waves out like this, but it's a little too blobbed up. This is a little bit risky. If your opponent had a Burning Headcaster, or hell, even if this Metal Mage was like up here, and they were able to drop a Searing Doom as all these guys get summoned in, you're just going to feed a ton of value here. You got to be really careful with stuff like this. Icket does go down, he explodes, he's got like a nuclear explosion that goes off, which is pretty funny. Actually does a lot of damage to infantry, which I was a little surprised to find out a while back. I don't know how I forgot about that. It's been around since Warhammer 2, but, you know, it's never been like a super important thing, but I watched it kill like 50 models of a pretty tattered infantry unit a few weeks ago, which is pretty funny. So, a little bit more aware of that now. Good signifier for when and where he has fallen. Tyrion's been great. 2,000 value on Tyrion. He's been riding around. He's got a lot of kills. I saw some good Sunfangs this game, and he killed Icket, obviously. The Skaven, without their leadership on the field, are just not going to be able to hang in here. High Elves, they were down early. They're very slowly capping up points, but they are not in triple cap threat range yet. And they've got enough out on the field. They're holding the number 3. They should be able to maybe outmuscle the number 2 eventually. They're capping up the number 1. Just need an infantry unit out here to hold that. Good Rahagger's Pride ability use there. Popping it out here and actually breaking the Warp Fire Throwers. And yeah, I mean, the Warp Fire Throwers just weren't defended. Like, they just got killed, and you summon in 550 gold for what? For what purpose? You know? It's very philosophical, asking the question of, if a 550 gold unit gets summoned in and it dies, was there even a point in having it to begin with? The answer is definitely no, by the way. That ain't no chicken and the egg type of question. High Elves gonna get the number 2. They never got the number 1. They actually do need a triple cap now, if I'm not mistaken. It's a little scary, man. Yeah, the Skaven are really beat up, but the High Elves are just taking way too long to get these objectives, honestly. Council Guard are getting ground down by the Rangers, which is nice. The Council Guard are okay as an ROR. They're an unbreakable Storm Vermin, which is cool, but they're 1,400 gold. The Guardian isn't all that useful. And they just trade really poorly into any kind of infantry that's, you know, like reasonably strong at grinding down other infantry units. Which Rangers are. They've got decent melee attack and a good bonus versus infantry. So they are able to value trade very effectively against those guys, man. I was over-focusing here a little bit, maybe. Do need to kill the Rattling guns, of course, but these guys haven't gotten a lot of value yet. They're struggling a bit. The War Lions of Trace have been very impactful. This is where the High Elves have like really ground back the values, by using these effectively. They cause fear, which is awful for the Skaven, because they're not ITP pretty much anywhere on the roster. Outside of their Rat Ogres, a lot of their units are going to be just losing, you know, 8 leadership for without any kind of threat, other than the fact that these things are nearby being introduced to them. And Rogger's Pride with another -8 is -16 leadership debuffs across the board in any circumstance where they're concentrating their attention and popping that ability, and that's going to be really punishing. Skaven are not defending the #1 objective at all. They're losing everything out here on the #3. I think this is where the High Elves just win outright. The Skaven just overplayed their hand on all 3 points, didn't defend their weapon teams well enough, and their melee units, as you can see here, pound for pound, very weak. They just fall in droves against the Elves especially, who have really respectable stats. Elves can be pretty lackluster in melee in their own right, but this is one matchup where they just have a clear-cut advantage in pretty much every possible circumstance when it comes to the melee grind. At range, Skaven have the edge, which is why Skaven need to play their range tools so heavily and protect them. Plague Claw Catapult was out earlier and has come back in again. Might get killed again, but yeah, I mean, the Triple Cap comes in. Really good Searing Dooms also. This Metal Mage has been very impactful for Pop Flux, so despite the bad positioning of the Archers, everything else has gone really well, which is great. I mean, sometimes you just make a mistake early, but you lock in, you figure out a way to get back into it, and you never give that lead back up once you get it all sorted and figured out. And that's kind of what happened here. So, good stuff. Maybe, Pop Flux, you just aren't really meant for Archers. You just aren't a ranged build type of player. High Elves can do, like, some rush factions. It's not, like, amazing, because their units are a little squishy, but like, just lots of War Lions, lots of Cavalry, some Rangers, some Pure Main Company, maybe some Lothern, or not Lothern, Seaguard, the Lore Masters of Hoeth would be really nice. And you just play that kind of a style, like something a little bit more aggressive, relying on good stats on your infantry and units to just, like, push points, lock them down, and keep your opponent on the back foot by, you know, keeping them from being able to use their shooting by constantly shutting it down with good good melee micro, because that was really where you got back into the game. And the Archers just honestly kind of didn't help you in any regard whatsoever that entire match. I mean, 100 value, 93 value, 78, 98. Only the Talons of Torquilida got more than 200, and, you know, down trades of 300 to 400 on all 5 of these units. How much is that? How much are all these guys combined? 450, 450, 450, 450, right? Or are they 400? Let's go take a look at the High Elves. And maybe they're 400. No, they are 450, okay. Oh, wow, okay. So they're 2250 with 4 of them. Get the Towns of Torquilida in here. It's a lot of gold, man. It's a lot of gold. I mean, three Archers is the same cost as like a Swordmaster of Hoth or a Phoenix Guard. Maybe keep these guys in reserve. Go with a little bit more chaff infantry early and summon some Phoenix Guard out behind that. And, you know, maybe just going with some Illyrian Reaver archers could be better. These guys are really easy to keep alive and skirmish with. And against the Skaven, they do respectable enough damage at range to be able to, like, poke away at, you know, Council Guard and Storm Vermin and stuff like that. Plague Monks. If in a pinch, they can hammer down some Clan Rats. Things like that. Poke Ikit. They're a lot easier to keep safe, and they double up as cavalry that you can use in melee, because they do get martial prowess and have respectable melee defense and melee attack at that point for a skirmish cav. So they're a pretty decent dual-purpose unit. I can highly recommend them. And I think they'd synergize better with your play, Pop. Alright, I'm gonna eat a snack here. Getting hungry. Got some cheese crackers. And later I'll have some stuffed potatoes. It's gonna be really good. Very excited. Alright, we got Radio Magic, we got Feral Hogs. We'll see who's gonna be able to take it here. Nurgle has a great matchup against Vampire Counts. But, typically speaking, the best Lord option into Vampire Counts is your Exalted Great and Clean Ones or Kugath, because of the Mortis Engine effect. Now, Festus does have his own, which is reasonably effective, but Festus is also really bad in melee combat, and will just get absolutely canned by, good micro on the, Necrarch Vampire Lord here. Spirit Leech is also on the table for this guy, so he can probably hammer down Festus pretty badly. But he's got his Mortis Engine, obviously. He's got healing elixirs. And we do have a Nurgle War Shrine here, which is nice. Definitely not half bad. As long as you can keep the majority of your army together, you'll be able to out-heal a lot of what the Vampire Counts can bring to the table. But I am a little worried. Just fast-forwarding a little bit. I mean, this is good micro. You're getting good shots on the Black Coach here. Vampire Counts are taking ages to get up. Really good shots on the Necrarch Vampire Lord, man. That's what throwing axes can do for you. Just amazing damage output. Even with 25% missile resistance, you can see how well they can poke down these big monsters, man. Just with some accurate volleys. Breath attack coming down. Oh, no, summon, sorry. Not the best summon, doesn't really snare anything. Zombies moving up. Black Coach and the Blood Knights and Direwolves getting screened out by Furies pretty badly. Nurgle with a triple cap. This is really nice for radio magic here. How long is this status quo gonna go on though? Ooh, some Fellbats and Vargeist coming in and get the counter charge on the Furies, and the Furies over pursuing. They're great, but if they get counter charged, they die so quickly. So big win for the Vampire Counts over here. They're gonna kill both of the Fury units. But are they gonna be able to hang in everywhere else? There's no corpse cards. I mean, I just can't agree with that. Like, Unholy Lodestones, just one Unholy Lodestone corpse card makes a big difference for the Vampire Counts. Because it gives your units perfect vigor in the radius. It gives a pretty decent passive heal. It gives extra stats. There's a lot about corpse cards that you really do need access to on a regular basis. and be mitigating a lot of the damage also that Festus could do with his Mortis Engine, but he is using the healing elixirs. Probably doesn't need to be using that once Abundant Glory is fully charged. Should be pretty soon. Damage output on a lot of Vampire Counts units is pretty poor. And I think having the Mortis Engine to grind down all the chaff will be better long term. So, the number 3 objective finally being pushed down effectively. The Necromancers popping their Forbidden Rods, giving a lot of extra winds of magic. Kark Vampire Lord finally landing in here against Festus. Doing some good damage, but he is getting passive healing from the Cultist War Shrine ability now. As well as his own healing elixirs. You can see how effectively that's keeping him healed up. 100 HP per second. Pretty gnarly, and the Dragon characters are damn strong. They do have pretty good weapon strength, but getting poisoned pretty horrendously here, lowering that damage output by a ton. Just not able to smack Festus around the way that Dragon characters really normally are able to. So I'm kind of liking Radio Magic's build here. It's different. It's very tricky to get through. Deceptively so. Doesn't have any Mortis Engines, though, which is a little unlucky. I mean, I just really love the Exalted Great Unclean ones here. And it's nice to be able to use Exalted Great Unclean ones, because they're cool as hell. They're not very usable in a lot of other matchups, because any missiles kind of punish the big boys pretty badly. But here is a matchup where they can actually shine and get upwards of like 6,000 value pretty commonly. It's kind of crazy. Nurgle might be losing some momentum now that the Horsemen are out of ammo. I don't have any answers to the Blood Knights. Blood Knights might start to really hammer down a lot of the Nurgle units. And you can see Marauders running. Doesn't matter how healthy you are if you're getting terror routed, man. That's brutal. It's very unfortunate. Festus is also just about healing capped. Doesn't matter how much you heal up if you're not able to get over the cap anymore. And the Necroc Vampire Lord's still fairly healthy and been very well microed for the most part. Like, getting lots of the buffs and other like items and abilities going. And just slowly wearing the old Leech Lord out here. Might get the Vampire Counts into a winning position, potentially. Forsaken are fighting the Vargeist, which isn't terrible. They can do big damage there. Vargeist are very squishy with 10 armor. Units with good weapon strength and melee attack can usually beat up on them, but these Vargeist do have better melee attack. And the Forsaken of Nurgle, oh, their leadership's really low. That's why they're not getting their Frenzy active, meaning that they're not hitting very effectively against the Vargeist like they normally would be. And they are getting dumpstered over there. That gold value difference really starting to close in terms of the differential here in favor of the Vampire Counts. They really need the points, though. They got the number 2. They got a big wave coming on to the number 3 here. They'll probably be able to kill these Furies and the Pestigores here. Really beautiful rear charge from Feral Hogs. Pesties are going to get it down in record time here. Vargeist have a crazy good charge bonus. I'm not sure if it's... I mean... Okay, maybe I shouldn't say crazy good charge bonus, because it's only 29 when they're fully invigorated. They've lost a lot of vigor here. They got crazy good weapon strength. And their charge bonus and their animations on the charge are good enough to just be able to, like, really crush units with a good collapse on them. Number 3 flipping really slowly. Festus is just hanging around, dude. Just not hearing no bell and dying. That, man, oh man. 26 melee attack. Really horrible. Need to get some cycle charges going. That's where dragons do their best work. Yeah, I mean, cycle charges in Festus would be dead by now, probably. He's still healing up a little bit, just waddling around, being a troll. And the Necrotic Vampire Lord's about to healing cap himself here. Gotta get this point, man. Nurgle might be able to win it on objectives. They're holding on to the number 1. Although Blood Knights now, 1,300 value. Crushing the Marauder Horsemen on this objective. Although, oh, they're trying to push past onto the Marauders. Not great. You gotta pay attention to where your orders are being given. You might look at battlefields, and you might be like, why the hell is my unit not doing any damage? Well, you might be giving an order like this, where the Blood Knights are trying to chase down the Marauders, who are running away, and the majority of the Blood Knights are stuck back here, fighting the Marauder Horsemen, and they're not hitting the Marauder Horsemen. Giving your units orders is really important. You need to make sure that you're clicking onto the units that your stuff is in contact with. Blood Knights finally attacking the Marauder Horsemen, doing big damage to them, now routing them, now giving Vampire Counts an opportunity to maybe cap that point up. Bile Trolls moving down the hill. Some Nurglings in here as well. Sternsman, Cryptars here. Breath attack on Festus, but he dodged most of it, so... Still hanging in there, man. Still trolling. Vampire Counts don't have a strong presence on any of the points. I think that they're, the fact that they've got bad cap weight, Nurgle, you know, hasn't just outright lost in the value trades, is probably going to be taking this. Because the Vampire Counts units, because there's no corpse carts to give passive heals, are not hanging in as well as Nurgle's forces. And despite Festus going down here, I don't see leadership being a big enough issue for Nurgle to really fall apart here. Finally flipping this cap weight on that point, but not a lot of time to work with. Although, the Blood Knights over here, crushing the Marauder Horsemen. And the Necromancers move up, gonna flip that cap. Got a little bit of time to work with. Oh, but the middle cap flipped. And it's just not happening quick enough over here. Nurgle's going to win this on points. There's some things Vampire Counts could have done. They needed to cycle charge at their Lord for one. Because he just wet-noodled Festus for like 2 or 3 minutes there. Easy. When he could have killed him. A corpse cart. Just one corpse cart. I beg you. You don't need to bring 2. If you just want to bring 1, that's fine. But you need something. For the passive healing and the perfect vigor. Mortis engines are really good against Nurgle. Nurgle's shooting is mediocre at best. The Blood Knights were nice, but they were not value trading as well as they could have. This one got 1900. They were out all game, though, and didn't do amazingly. You've got to be able to get good charges off the Blood Knights to win games with the Vampire Counts. And this is a lot of chaff with, like, no cap weight in reserve. A little bit too much. Cut these zombies. They're going to take ages to get to the front line. No point having them here. Sternsmen are a really good unit. But I would honestly recommend bringing, instead of the Sternsmen, cut the zombies, and cut one of the skeleton warriors. And you'll have... Which gold is that? 1350. Yeah, you'll have 1650. Damn, that's not quite enough. Cut the other skeleton warrior too. Bring 2 Graveguard great weapons, because you might run into chaos warriors who you'll need to chew through. Graveguard great weapons can do that. They've got good cap weight as well. They can hold on points pretty nicely. Of course, back them up with Cryptars and the Blood Knights, who can kill some of the larger stuff, the more annoying stuff. Black Coach is damn good, but it wasn't used very effectively here. You can cut this and use the corpse carts, and then the more practice you get with the Vampire Counts, and the better you get utilizing their roster and charging around with all of their other units, you can start to incorporate the Black Coaches. They're just very micro-intensive. I think you're maybe putting a little too much on your plate, Feral Hogs. Simplify the game as much as possible when you're new, and slowly incorporate the other tools into your builds. That way you can utilize it all effectively without just losing games and kind of like pigeonholing yourself and like maybe getting the wrong ideas about a faction. You know what I mean? Learning things slowly over time is never a bad idea, and just, you know, like I said, practicing, incorporating new stuff, learning where and when you need to send your units into the front line versus capping points, especially as the vampire counts. Very, very important, because you should have won that game, but because your caps were not handled very well, you didn't have the time to work with in the late game to be able to take the objectives to win the cap race by getting a triple cap, which I think was doable, but again, the early game was just not handled well enough to be able to keep you in it until that point at which you were getting a value lead and were really starting to develop out enough good quality units to be able to overwhelm Nurgle. Alright. Apostrophe, Steelico coming in here. Crazy big. See, this is a build that would have been really good in that matchup against the Vampire Coast. Maybe not the Ushaptis and the Chosen of the Gods in the opening, but just max like skeleton archers, tons of skelly warriors. You got Kotep. Against the Vampire Coast, you can use Sepulchral Stalkers because they're a little bit more self-sustaining, and their laser eyes do just even more damage than like Chosen of the Gods and stuff can do. And you know, you got your Skelly Archers for all the gun units. But anyways, against the Empire, it'll be reasonably effective. Just because Empire has lots of lightly armored state troopers who only have bronze shields. You'll get through the state troopers pretty quickly with good focus fire. So, we'll see about that. Huntsman moving up. Good unit. But, gonna be very squishy to the focus fire of the Tomb King's archers here. We might be able to just chunk them down given the right opportunities and engagements from the Tomb Kings. Slowly moving forward, Chosen of the Gods and the Ushapti Greatbows opening up. The Master Engineer, I forgot to talk about him. Really good unit. Actually, having the Greatbows and the Chosen of the Gods here are going to be very good against this guy. Typically, the Directional Shield saves this dude from missile fire, but that's just small arms fire. The Ushapti Greatbows are actually artillery, technically. And they're able to really hammer this poor guy down. He is taking ridiculous amounts of damage. This might be a really short game going in Apostrophe's favor. They might kill the Master Engineer in a few seconds here. This is not his best matchup. I think that he's good. He's good against factions that have low leadership and where he can really terrorize by riding through the front line. Thanks to the terror routes. Unbreakable and the Directional Shield. Against the Tomb Kings, not quite as good. He does get a regrowth, which is nice. Need to see the Bright Wizard dropping some Burning Heads. There's no reason that you should not be dropping Burning Heads right now. This is a little frustrating to see. I know there's a lot going on, but your opponent has got so many good avenues to drop Burning Head from, and you got a lot of blobbing going on with your infantry. These three units do not need to be overlapping like this. This is a big mistake. It's honestly better to keep units back here unengaged than to blob them up like this, because they're tiring themselves out doing this without actually doing any damage. It's very unfortunate. This is a good Burning Head. Oh my goodness. Tremendous Burning Head, in fact. You can see, doesn't get a lot of kills. The way they rework spells means that you don't often get lots of kill totals. But 400 value on one burning head against all this chaff infantry, pretty respectable. But the Empire have just given up a lot of value. Their huntsmen are pretty much dead. The Chosen of the Gods and the Ushapti Greatbows have just been teeing off all game and just have gotten tremendous work done. And the Skeleton Horse Archers wearing out the State Troopers, pretty brutal for the Empire, man. I got all these Knights off on the #1 objective, not really doing a whole lot. Tomb King's gonna take the #2. I'd be shocked if the Empire is going to be able to win this. Sandstorm going down on the blobbed up infantry, really good cast, and breaking the leadership of all of these guys here. Pretty brutal, man. Kotzeb got a lot of work done with that one cast. You can see he got his own like almost 400 value cast off against a bunch of chaff, so pretty respectable stuff for him. Archers just massacring all the State Troopers. If you see the Tomb Kings with a fat bow line and you're not geared up to run into that, don't help your opponent out by attacking them there. Just rotate away. Rotate to the #2 and the #1. Delay the frontline engagement as much as possible. Try and throw an infantry unit up and engage multiple spearmen or skeleton warriors and burning head that position. That can be nice. You need to dive with your Empire Knights and Knights of the Blazing Sun. That way, you've got stuff that can get up into the backline and actually like shut these units down. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. Master Engineer has gotten like no value as well. Again, I don't think he's very good here. If you want to, you could bring him on his horse, and he can use his grenade launcher to poke at stuff that comes in range and do some good damage that way. But he's also got restock, and you can use the money to get like the Sunmaker or something, which is really good at punishing big chaffy armies like this. I mean, you can have it in reserve if you want, or in your starting army, either or works. And against the Tomb Kings, they don't have a lot of stuff that can really punish those kind of artillery pieces. I think it'd be damn strong to have. Tomb Kings with the double cap, they're just never going to move from these points either, probably. They don't need to go to the other objective. They just need to hold the 3 and the 2, and they win this game. And full route for the Empire. The disciplined play from the Tomb Kings here, paying off big time. Outrider grenade launchers coming up, and they just get a fat volley off on the Tomb Guard halberds. Beautiful, beautiful cast. Or not cast, but beautiful volley. But yeah, they're going to call it there. I think it's a pretty good idea. They just lost their front line. And the Knights were way out of position. It was going to take them ages to hammer down all of this stuff. And, you know, the Tomb Kings were bringing a lot of tools out to hold on to those points. And that was pretty much all she wrote. Don't just run in next time. Be a little bit more patient. Bring out... Great Cannons are not good against the Tomb Kings for the most part. They can kill the Great Bows, which is nice, but they're not going to hit against the... if your opponent brings Cetra. Cetra is fairly common against the Empire. Great Cannons have a hard time killing Cetra, because he can be quite hard to hit. He can dodge around pretty easily and avoid a lot of damage that way. That's a duplicate, by the way. So, not ideal. I really think the Sunmaker is your better bet. Generally speaking, it'll be a little bit more impactful. Did we already watch this one? I don't actually know. We'll watch it anyways. See how it plays out. I think we did watch this one on Saturday, but I'd like to go through and see it again. I'm pretty sure Tommy ends up losing this one. We'll see, though. I don't actually remember. For my own personal edification. Sunmaker available. Gonna be really good against the halberds. If he gets hits on the Marauder Horseman, it'll do amazing damage. Sunmaker is just good against everything but SEs. It can really make a lot of people panic if they see it on the field. For good reason, oftentimes. But you just want to try and range it as best you can and dodge as best you can. So it doesn't just farm like tons of free value on your expensive infantry or even your chaff. Soul of Damnation's on the field. Against the Empire, I honestly don't think it's all that good. They've got so much chaff infantry with the State Troopers. That's kind of a waste using the Soul of Damnation on those guys. It does good damage, but I just don't see it being impactful enough. Even if it gets like 2,500 killing State Troopers, it's gonna take all game to do that. And it's still a expensive artillery piece you gotta protect. I think I'd rather, if you really needed one, to just see a regular Hell Cannon. You could use it to shoot Volkmar the Bright Wizard, though, which would be okay. Yeah, Mini's being very aggressive here. Running over the Free Company Militia, getting on top of the Pistoliers. Really locking these guys down, doing tremendous damage. With the Hellstriders, who are just putting the Empire on the back foot, so it's pretty painful. And Volkmar does get found by Archeon. This has to be a different... These guys must have rematched during the tournament, I'm thinking. Or they played in the tournament last week. But either way, Tommy is coming in here and just absolutely hounding down poor Volkmar, just getting the absolute crap kicked out of him. Slayer of Kings active. He got like all the buffs in the world for Archeon. He's just so fat as a duelist already. Him getting extra weapon strength and AP, 75% more, by the way, is just way too nasty for Volkmar to deal with. Even though Volkmar is tanky, he's really only good at running over infantry. He's just not getting that opportunity right now. Hellstriders actually maybe have a little bit of an opportunity here. Yeah, there we go. Get the Hellstriders onto that Sunmaker right now and kill it. The Demigryph Knights are way out of position to protect that thing. The Pistoliers just aren't going to do enough damage, and the Hellstriders might kill the Sunmaker here. In which case, that's going to be a game, set, match. Empire without the Sunmaker aren't going to have a way to clear the halberds, both of whom are very healthy. The Marauders did get slapped up, but Hellstriders are still being fairly disruptive around the field. Yeah, man, come on, Hellstriders. Are you going to kill it? Sunmaker hanging in there. Wow, they barely managed to save the Sunmaker crew. Pretty huge. Fireball is not going to do anything to Archeon. Fireball is only good against unarmored targets. It's got very little AP. Even if you upgrade it, still not that effective against armored tools. Terror routes would be really nice for Archeon. I don't like Armor of Morkar or Fight or Die for him. I don't think he needs those extra buffs, for one. Two, they don't last very long, so their impact is pretty negligible for fights and value trading. I think that the Crown of Domination is better because it gives his friendlies ITP and it gives him terror, and it also buffs leadership for him and his allies. That is way better in my opinion. Almost every single matchup against mortal factions, you should have the Crown of Domination so you can get terror outs of the Archeon. And you can bring the Slayer of Kings still. It's a great item. if you want to go with Archeon as like a sniper and a duelist character, which is actually kind of a good idea against the Empire, I think. Archeon's one of those characters that can honestly solo games at times. He really is that good in truth. Soul of Damnation wandering way forward, but good protection on it with the Chaos Warriors. That's how you position a halberd on a artillery piece. Keeping the Knights of the Blazing Sun off of the crew entirely. They're just going to massacre these guys, man. Absolute brutality. Empire, you got to pay attention to stuff like that. I mean, that's a 1,200 gold cavalry unit that just lost more than half its health. For absolutely no gain. 80 value. Oh my god. Rotting Rider's going to be going down here, but they got respectable enough value. Spirit Leech going down on the Royal Altar of Griffite's not a bad call, because they don't have that many models left. And it's actually going to do fairly effective damage to them and help finish these guys off. Rotting Rider's trying to get away. They got 13 models and a little bit of room to regen potentially, but they do get charged. They'll finish the Knights of the Blazing Sun as well, though. And they got in 1,500. They cost 22, but hell, I mean, just being able to hang in here, maybe they'll be able to keep the Warriors of Chaos on the middle point, so that they have time to recontest the number 3, send these Hounds, and maybe kill the Sunmaker. Sunmaker, not that much value, honestly. Archeon Spirit Leeching Volkmars are not terrible. Keeping him honest, and Archeon should be able to duel him here in a minute and crush him. Somehow the Rotting Riders are still hanging around here. 10 models, 800 HP. Kind of impressive, man. They're up to 800 value now. Are they going to get 2,200 before they go down completely? I'm a little skeptical that they can, but they're on their way. We got Trolls over here with some Marauders. Almost taking the point, but Flagellants and Free Company Militia get up here. Holding it off. Tommy... is he going to be able to do it, man? Archeon is fighting Volkmar again. Probably need to kill Volkmar by this point. You put so much damage into him that not killing him would be really painful. Kind of playing bumper cars with Archeon here. Doing a little damage to him. A little funky. Archeon's kind of buggy. He's damn good, but for whatever reason, against a lot of lords, he can really like push them around on his cart, and it can look real funny. They can also end up not being able to attack him when he's doing that. And he just seems to connect with combat characters an awful lot for somebody who's got like literally no freaking melee attack. It's bizarre. I don't know what's up with the model and the hitboxes, but you know, it's not the most egregious thing in the game. Archeon on the rear of them. Rotting Riders there as well. He may be going down here. That'd be huge for the Warriors of Chaos, but they don't have any other points. Oh no, they do have they did get the number 1 over here. Okay, okay. Oh no! No, they didn't get it! Oh my god, you gotta be kidding me. That's insane, dude. It's got 1 freaking microsecond left before it gets capped, and the Empire gonna get some Flagellants up on that point and start to flip it away from the Warriors of Chaos. Down goes our boy, old Volkmar here. The Chad Wagon looking pretty beat up now. The Rotting Riders getting their value back just about, dude. Crazy performance from them. 10 models, and they've got some room on the regen still. That's what's so great about this unit. They're still fairly functional even when they don't have that many models, because they've got great leadership. They hit really hard, and they've got regen. There's not a lot to shame them for, honestly. Still haven't gotten the number 3, but there are trolls over here who are doing reasonably well. Gotten some pretty respectable value. Just need to get something up on there to finish that cap. Yeah, I mean, the Soul of Damnation has just been really mediocre, man. I mean, it's fired like all its ammo and hasn't even gotten its value back. That is a very rare circumstance. Usually not a great sign for the Warriors of Chaos, but they've traded well in other areas of the battlefield, and well enough that they're probably going to be able to ice this game out real soon here. I mean, they've got the double cap, and they'll surpass the Empire soon, and Archeon got 4,000 value. Terror Route coming down thanks to the Rotting Riders being, you know, big and scary. 2,300 value and counting, man. Hellstriders, 1,200. Well, Altar Griffite's coming back out. They did well the first time. They crushed these Hellstriders again, but big shot from the Soul of Damnation on them. This is where the Soul of Damnation can do really well. Taking out 2, 3, even single models of the Royal Altar Griffites. Pretty solid, but Empire taps out. They just didn't have the time and the units on the field to be able to get back in there. So good stuff from Tommy, man. I mean, Archeon, the always chosen, just dapping up the Empire. What more do you need? Don't remember if I've seen this one. I might have. Get in here and look. No, we haven't. Broccoli coming in here with Nurgle. Rancid, Curse of the Lepers, Stream of Corruption, Children of Nurgle, the healing item for the Chaos Lord. Pretty solid. Should be able to do good work with Stream of Corruption against the Jade Warrior Halberds here. You've got your Marauders. Just standard ones. Usually not very good against Cathay in my experience. The Marauder Great Weapon's much better. They can actually punch through the Jade Warriors' armor, do reasonable damage to them. Demon Spew, respectable ROR, not the greatest in the world, but, you know, it can do something. It ain't useless. It's got good melee attack, of course, good weapon strength. Aggressive and hits hard. And for a Nurgle unit, very fast, 46 speed, so that's good. Marauders, moving up. Fury comes out. See where they go. Furies are usually very good at killing stuff like Crane Gunners and, you know, like Peasant Bows, units like that. That's where I would be expecting Fangirl to be sending it to try and, like, maximize its value and potential. I would not advance onto the number 1 here as Nurgle. Keep these guys up on the dunes while the rest of the forces, like, secure the other side of the field. Because Cathay is honestly not got a lot of units, man. They got a Wujing War Compass here. What the hell? Kind of cool. I mean, it gets 2 bound comets, 2 bound Celestial Lightnings, and we got Uranins and Wind Blast here. Okay. Nexus of the Elemental Winds and Spell Mastery is good. Oh yeah, that's how you use that ability. So Celestial Sweep just got 60 kills for this guy. Absolutely dunked on the Marauders of Nurgle there. Super powerful Vortex, very tiny effect radius, but the damage it does is kind of insane. And you can use it on 120-second cooldown, so you can pop it pretty consistently. And, man, the Jade Warriors kind of flattening the Forsaken right now. Oh my god. Getting really good buffs here. Yeah, Brass Cleaver active. They've got magic attacks. This is something that I complained about last time I was watching Ruramato. Like, you've got to know when and where to swap your Jade Wardrum stances, man. Like, the magic attack's just not that useful against the Forsaken. The weapon strength, the extra weapon strength is mitigating the effects of the poison, but you can get more melee attack and just hit more often, more consistently, if you had just swapped a Disdain of the Dragon Emperor. Fury of the Falling Blade would be good if you were fighting, like, Plague Bears here. That's where you could use it. Using it when you're fighting Forsaken, honestly, kind of pointless. That's been, like, one of the only complaints that I've had about Ruru. Everything else, pretty reasonably, microed and pulled off. Onyx Croman fighting 2 Furies. I think this is actually, there was another Onyx Croman here, I think. Tons of dead Onyx Croman, man. Yeah, the Furies do go down. Onyx Croman gonna be able to walk away with a win here, but they're pretty beat up. Not gonna be able to do a whole lot of damage here, I don't think. Maybe not even gonna get their value back. That would be pretty devastating. Yeah, and Nurgle's hanging in here reasonably evenly. And Ruramato's army is just so tiny, man. Down go the poor Onyx Croman. Demon Spew getting into the Jade Warrior Halberds here. Chopping through these guys. And now that they're tired, man, and Sword of Flies is hitting them, we got no melee attack. It'd be real nice to have the extra 8 from Disdain right now. Bound Comet missing pretty badly against the Demon Spew. Probably should have put the Comet here. Uranus here. And just be like trying to run over all this stuff. Yeah, Kislev, or not Kislev, Cathay is not going to be winning this one. There's no way. Crane Gunners took a bunch of damage, I presume, from Furies. It's got no value anyways. Bands of the Silver Road getting attacked by Marauders. Ooh, really nice Curse of the Leper. Actually going to make it so these Onyx Croman deleting themselves as they're getting attacks in here. Curse of the Leper gives big damage reflection. And the Onyx Croman might kill themselves fighting this Marauder unit here, which would be pretty hilarious. They'll still be doing damage to themselves as they're chasing these guys. You see it just continuing to lose HP. Last couple seconds, Onyx Croman probably gonna crumble. Yeah, oh no, they start crumbling. That was really nice for Broccoli, because the Marauders got some damage on the Bandits, and then they kill a, I think Croman or 600, maybe 700 gold even. For trading out for 400 gold Marauder, that's pretty sick, dude. And they got their value back too, so great stuff for Broccoli Fangirl here. Chaos Sorcerer of Nurgle is a respectable enough fighter, even on horseback. Doesn't necessarily have to have the Rot Beast to be able to contribute damage. Just really hard to kill with the Crown of Everlasting Conquest, given that huge heal. Just going to be super durable and pounding down the poor Celestial General here. He got one good Celestial Sweep, and that was about it. Locked down, bullied, and on the retreat now, and actually gets killed over there by the General from Nurgle. Bands to the Silver Road retreating. They got good value. 737 is no joke, honestly. But they are, of course, pulling back, and the Crane Gunners have been completely useless. I mean, my goodness. Talk about a stinker of a performance from these guys. It's just Onyx Croman into the sunset, too. Good, breath spell on them. Nurgle locking down the points. We'll just fast forward through this. I mean, you can bring out all the Onyx Croman in the world. But if you can't protect your stuff like here, the Furies kill the Crane Gunners, kill the, Bandits. Empress's Croman going down, Astromancer going down, Jade Wardrum running away, and the value lead is just getting worse and worse. Marauders moving up. 1,500 value on this Marauder unit. What the hell? Oh, they killed the Astromancer on the Wujing War Compass. That's how they got that value. I was about to say, what in the world have these Marauder great weapons been eating, man? Frickin' just like hogging all the damn whey protein, bro. Frickin' gains for days on those guys, apparently. But yeah, Cathay just did not have the ground presence, and they really did not get anything out of the crane gunners, and kind of a death sentence there. Wujing War Compasses are just not good. They don't do enough work. If they had unlimited bound spells and they were just on like a 90-second cooldown, I think the Wujing War Compass would be good then. As it stands, though, you get limited to 2 uses of Comet and the Uranans. That's just not enough. It's pretty mediocre. Alright, man. Karavthir coming in against Commissar. Let's see how it goes. I would say Dowie generally are advantaged over Grand Cathay, but Karavthir is a very good Cathay player. Mains them exclusively. Has a very nice balanced build here. Grand Cannon, Celestial General with Celestial Sweep, I would imagine. As well as the Jade Warriors, a couple of Peasant Bowmen, Jade Warrior Crossbows, and 2 Crane Gunners. Going to be able to punish the Dowie builds pretty hard with that much effective shooting and really well-balanced shooting, like for all different areas of the ranged trade. Peasant archers can shoot at slayers. Same with the crossbows, but they have a little bit more range. Actually, the same range? Wow, really? Oh, no, that's also a peasant bow. Lol. Yeah, Jade Warrior crossbows get a little more range, hit a little harder. Gonna dual purpose a little better against Dowie Warriors as well, given an opportunity. Cannon opens up and bounces a shot right off the dome of that rock. Definitely cracking a few pieces off, I would imagine. Celestial General is on horseback, not on the Jade Griffin or whatever it's. Oh, no, it's on a Celestial Lion. So not on the mount. Just gonna be hanging out, chilling in the back, doing his thing. Jade Warrior crossbows versus Bugman's Rangers. We do get the Crane Gunners opening up. These guys do have a heal that's active as long as their their leadership is higher than Wavering. It's quite good. They can be really good for ranged duels. But once they're getting pounded like this, they're taking this much damage, you should start to pull them out. That way their healing can go into effect and they can just, chill for a little while. Get that HP back up before they re-engage. And that is exactly what Commissar is going to be doing here. Is going to pull back those guys. This freaking Grand Cannon is such a cool unit. Crazy amazing sound effects. So loud. Very appropriate for cannons. Cannons are absolutely horrific to hear fired off near you. I mean, you will go deaf so fast on one of these cannon crews, I imagine. They have no ear pro. Where are their headsets, man? Come on. Gotta protect them, gotta protect them ears. Lots of bow fire, really good Celestial Sweep coming down from the General, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, definitely got a good Celestial Sweep on the Great Warriors, or Great Weapon Warriors. Celestial Lion and the General bullying the poor Rune Lord, who's probably going to die pretty quickly here. Rune of Negation and Master Rune of Grunding can only do so much. Rune of Hearth and Home is a really nice vigor-reducing item, keeping everything around him, perfectly statted up, since they don't lose anything as they get tired. Cathay only has the 1 point, but they got plenty of time to work with. Crane Gunner's losing a few models. The Art Cannon is in range and doing some respectable work against them. They are poking the Bugmans down fairly effectively. Yeah, their own Grand Cannon really dunking on the other Bugman's Rangers over there. The Alchemist dropping a really nice Searing Doom here. Reasonable amount of damage against the Dwarven Infantry. Those great weapons managing to hold out here, and the Rune Lord being, you know, having the perfect vigor, and the Celestial General starting to tire out. Kind of persevering through the worst of this threat now. Come on, we need to see some Plague of Rusts here. A Plague of Rust on this Dowie Warrior would be kind of huge. You could definitely get some really fat value. Making sure that you kill those guys. Killing one of the Bugmans, the other is locked down by the Celestial Lion. Doing some reasonable work against that, and we do get the Grim Delvers trying to protect the artillery piece here, but the crew is really beat up right now. Although they do get peeled for just in time. Down go the Peasant Horsemen. Onyx Crowman on the Bugmans, Rangers back here. Holding and keeping them from getting up to the front line and doing good damage with their little crossbows. That's going alright for Cathay, but you know, just not able to like decisively win on this middle objective is not great. I mean, they're pretty pushed back, in fact, honestly. They've got the Dowie Warrior great weapons getting absolutely shot to pieces right now, which is awesome. They do have the Plague of Rust upgraded on them. You can see how much it lowers their armor. I mean, they're basically unarmored at this point. 1 minute, guys. Sorry about that. I got my freaking window open. Dude's doing lawn work, which is fine, whatever. But kind of hard to hear over the freaking lawn, or the leaf blower. So anyways, getting back into this, you know, Cathay, Peasant Archers, just hammering home. Are they going to be able to get up on the number 2 objective, though? The cannon's trying to snipe the Celestial General right now. Getting damn close to doing so. And the Dowies still had plenty of infantry out. Oh my god, a little bit of friendly fire there, I think. Celestial General might die here. Very low. In danger, despite fighting the Runesmith, who's not a great combatant. If he gets hit, like, one time, yeah, he's gonna rout here, and he might not rally before he runs off the field. He's only got 300 HP, man. Oh, I don't know if he's gonna rally. If he takes any extra damage, he won't. He is pulling back. Okay, there we go. He is going to rally with, like, maybe a little bit of room to spare on the back here, but I don't know. He's no longer got the flank secured, and Friends routing and very tired. It's so questionable, dude. That's so scary for Cathay. They can't afford to lose their leadership here. Because the Dowie, their lord, has escaped to the back of the map. He does rally. Just keep him back there, man. Cannot afford to lose him. Dowie getting up on this point in numbers. Doing their very best to hang on to this middle point. I've got a decent value lead, but the Crane Gunners have been a nightmare, and there's still plenty of models left on them, and they will be able to punish pretty well. Just poking away against these Thunderers, man. Peasant Archers and some Jade Warriors up on this objective. Jade Lancers coming down the hill. Yeah, let's go. Getting shot up a little bit, but they do get a nice lancing charge in here and are going to be able to finish off the shotguns there. Bugman's Rangers just cannot get away from the Empress's Crowmen or the Onyx Crowmen in general. Taking a ton of damage and a good Plague of Rust, lowering the little armor that the Bugmans have so that the Empress's Crowmen can get a little more effective damage in on those guys. Probably going to win that fight. Bugman's on this side of the field. What the hell happened to these guys' leadership? Whoa, what happened? They just ran. That's crazy. I have no idea why the Grand Cannon crew is running away there. They just chickened out, it seems. Anyways, Bugman's Rangers trying to get them. Not quite able to in the focus fire from the crane gunners as they turn around is able to push those guys back, which is really good for Cathay. Searing Doom coming down on the Longbeards, going to be able to do some damage to those guys. I don't know about clearing them out. Not quite. Cathay gets the middle point, and most importantly, they got it before it was triple cap territory. So as long as they hold on to that objective and they're just disruptive with their units the rest of this game, don't let the Dowie get back up onto any of the points for free, they should be in a good spot. And they might kill the Rune Lord here. Oh, the Rune Lord gets smacked by the Lion. Lion didn't hear no bell. Coming in here, killing the Rune Lord. Getting rid of some of the leadership for the Dowie, potentially. Although now it is gonna get surrounded by the Warriors as well as the Slayers here. Once the Jade Lancers go down, is he gonna be able to get away? Barely able to push out. Still chasing down the Lord. Come on, kill them. Do something. That'd be a win for Cathay at that point. I think we could probably safely call it if the Dowie lose their Lord. Because, yeah, Dowie have great leadership, but
the enemy has slain our Lord.
Being even a little bit more likely to rout. And, I mean, look at this. Just big routes going down across the field now. Slayers and the Dowie Warriors doing their best, but I don't know if they're going to even be able to hold on to the number 3 as well. Peasant Horsemen moving over, getting a rear charge on these Dwarf Warriors, slowly grinding these guys down as they're surrounded. Leadership problems. Rearing their ugly head here, man. They're holding on, though. There they go. They break. They had like half their HP left. Peasant Horsemen charging the Slayers. Gonna go down. But they did get a rear charge to the Empress's Crowmen, and these things have 1,300 value, ripping apart that Slayer unit. Cathay gonna take the number 3 as well. Dowie don't have a lot of supplies. They're trying to push the number 1. Good decision-making from Karathir, though. Just like throwing some Lancers forward to hold on to it. Pinballing between the Slayers. Not going to get a lot of value out of these poor Lancers, unfortunately. Dowie retake, but it's, you know, it's going to be a little too late, I think. Cathay's just got more infantry on the field. They're actually holding caps. And Karathir has really not let the, let his foot off the gas, so to speak. Just continuing to hound down a lot of the units that are out here. Yeah, these Slayers getting poked down, gonna be dying soon. The Jade Warrior Crossbows, respectable value. Dwarf Warriors hanging in. A little bit of a push onto the middle. The number 3 is gonna get flipped here, but the number 1 flips at the same time. This was actually kind of huge. The Jade Warriors were able to intercept the Bugmans right before they got on the point and push the entire unit off of the objective, securing this for Cathay. Keeping their double cap advantage. Dude, this is freaking sick. Karathir with the long, grindy game plan. Just able to make enough plays to take this game, it looks like. Oh no, the middle's flipping. Oh my god. Dude, is Commissar going to win this?
The foe's victory point.
Oh my god. Dowie still with the lead, getting a double cap, getting over Cathay here potentially. Kind of sorry that I was speeding it up. I really thought the Dowie were cooked though. But they've just been getting up on these points slowly but surely. It's not been easy and it's certainly not been pretty, but who cares, man? That's just not what the Dowie the Dowie don't give a rat's ass how they get a win. They just care that they got the win, right? Wow, the cap weight flips against Cathay as the minor unit gets on the point, man. The Bugman's stopping up these Jade Warriors, and the Jade Lancers rout. They lose their Lord. No, he's still here. Why did they rout? Bizarre routes coming in from some of these Cathay units. I have no idea why some of them are running away. And yeah, maybe the Onyx Crowmen, as good as they've been doing, maybe there have just been too many of them, and the caps are just not working out for Cathay here. Pretty unfortunate, dude. Peasant horsemen rolling down the field, down the hill, I should say, getting into the miners, but a little too many regenerating Bugmans here. And Bugman's Rangers aren't great in melee combat, but they got good melee defense. So against Jade Warriors and Peasant Horsemen, they're actually able to hold surprisingly well with that passive healing, and that is going to be a win for the Dowie. The Kara's Anchor prevails today, man. God, I'd be freaking steamed if I were Karathir there. Really well fought, but just not able to make it happen, unfortunately. Onyx Crowman got good value, but maybe it's the Peasant Horsemen and the Jade Lancers, because they don't have a ton of value on any of these guys. And I'm pretty sure some of them came out multiple times. Slayers were respectable. The Bugmans were okay. Man, it might have been the Dowie Great Weapon Warriors who kind of pulled it off here. Oh, it's a lot of the missiles in reserve, I think, that did it. And this cannon also got it done. As well as the Slayers doing respectable damage. Well frickin' played. G to the big G. We can skip that one. We watched that Saturday. Let's see. Lizards versus Corn. Yucklin coming in here, going up against Levis. We got Skull Taker, Double Cultist, Marauders, Minotaur, Double Skull Cannon against a Shredder of Lustria build that has 2 Temple Guard. Okay, so just avoid the Shredder of Lustria. Use the Skull Cannons to shoot down the Temple Guard. And just cap points away. Do not ever let the Shredder of Lustria get into your units. That is a death sentence for you as Corn. Corn is not good against the Shredder builds, unfortunately.
Bloodlust, these are our virtues. Now, fly at the bow. Show Corn your honor.
Yeah, show him your honor. Let's go. Okay, so Yucklin's moving up. Shredder of Lustria is really only vulnerable to Marauder Horseman fire. If you can kill the other elements of the army, you can bring the Horseman up to then shoot down the Shredder. But even then, it can be a big ask, just because Lizards can heal this freaking thing so much. It's got 15,000 HP. If it heal caps, then it gets another, like, 10,000 health, I think. It's kind of wild. How much HP it has when you take the healing caps into consideration. Good shots from the Skull Cannons. They're doing pretty respectable work. Nothing too insane. They did get a nerf this most recent patch. They lost a lot of their AP Vortex damage, but it's still decent work. It's just not as free and guaranteed as it once was. Good net of Amantok on the Minotaurs. And wow, shooting Mazdamundi. Shooting SEs can be a little risky. It's kind of hard to hit them consistently. Yeah, Minotaurs and Skull Taker working in tandem against the Shredder. Actually, you know, keeping this guy, keeping these guys' leadership high so they don't run away. Since this thing, of course, has Dread Aversion, which is just really brutal and lowers leadership by 8, and then it can just, like, trample over stuff and get so many terror routes on Cornate units. Temple Guard doing some pretty big damage here. Fighting fairly effectively. This one's taking some reasonable damage as it's fighting all the Marauders and the Cultists. The other one, very healthy, and is beating their Cultist in combat pretty quickly. Skull Cannon's in the Temple Guard currently, which is not a great place for them. They're shooting Mazdamundi still. They've worked him down a decent amount. Okay, so this is where you can leave Skull Taker and one of the Minotaurs here to fight, and then the other Mino can go after Mazdamundi, in my opinion, where it'll really shine and do a lot of damage. Skull Cannon's trying to run. A lot of aggro from the Shredder of Lustria being drawn away from the focal points of the fight. It's just trying to get safe. It's taking a lot of damage, man. The Minotaur is actually doing really well against it right now with the Skull Taker leadership and melee attack buffs, which is just great. Skull Taker is awesome, dude. He's so good at helping counter these types of heal blobs with big monsters, which was... It was basically impossible for Khorne to contend with the Shredder of Lustria in the past. It was an insanely difficult matchup for Khorne, but Skull Taker's made it a little bit easier. Really good net of Ammontok, but nothing to follow up and do damage to these guys. That's a little unfortunate. Skull Cannons, yeah, there you go. Shoot them in the butt. Good shot. Skull Cannons are still really strong, guys. They're not as good as they used to be. They've definitely fallen off a fair amount, but they're really good at clearing out chaff. The missiles still do a bunch of damage. And you can get their value back, usually by like the 10-minute mark. Even sooner, depending on what kind of engagements and fights you take with them. There's just not enough healing for the Shredder of Lustria, dude. Like, Mazda Mundi is just trying his absolute heart out, but it's just not going to happen, I think. Sync cohorts get mega smacked up by the Skull Cannons. Just took tons of their HP off. 400, 587 respectively. Down goes the Shredder of Lustria. Skink cohort getting bullied. Yuckling going to be taking a win here for sure, man. Levis just isn't going to be able to make it happen. A lot of those units that Levis is typically relying on just not nearly as effective in this matchup. And Skull Taker, 1,200 value and counting. In addition to those Skull Cannons and the Minotaurs, dude, just bullying the Lizardman build-around. Cultists were reasonably good as well. The Marauders didn't do much. Minotaurs are great. Skull Taker, great. Skull Cannons, damn good. Oh yeah, and there were some Marauder Horsemen there. This one, 1,700 value, just shooting at the Shredder. The other Minotaur's doing nice. I don't think you need this many Minotaurs. You can probably cut these 2 Minotaurs and bring in some Bloodletters. Or some Forsaken or something. Just in case your opponent... Yeah, I mean, they got all kinds of chaff, so having something to clear out the skinks in the late game can be really nice. Not that Minotaurs are bad at it, but there's plenty of answers that the Lizardmen have to, like, Minos. And while I love Minotaurs and their performance, I think the dual weapon Minos into factions that have tons of chaff and then also lots of shooting tend to be a pretty bad idea. They can get dragged down by the Temple Guard if they were to fight them, or, you know, Sora's Spears are amazing against Minos. Chameleon Skinks can poke them pretty well. I just don't think the Pterodon Riders are very good against Khorne. They are just going to get shut down by Furies anytime they come out onto the field, or they just get ignored and they don't do that much damage. Anyways, Khorne's got a lot of armor, so... why bother killing them? Something to keep in mind. Very nicely done by Yucklin. We did watch this game. Did we watch this one? I don't know, but if I recognize it as we're going through it, then I'll just back out, but I don't want to potentially miss anything, and it is a High Khalida game after all. High Queen Khalida is actually a pretty fun character. Pound for pound, one of the stronger duelists for the Tomb Kings. Her and Horse Cetra are pretty devastating to enemy, like, single entities and characters. We'll see what she can do here, though. She may struggle. Kinda depends. You can see her stats. 65 and 60 melee defense is absolutely ridiculous. That is That is honestly, like, top tier in terms of the stats. Her biggest weakness is it seems that sometimes she doesn't hit very effectively because of her animations, which can be annoying, but see how she does here. Venom Staff, very good against skirmishers. She's got Venom Wave here, which does damage and helps her escape situations. And Tomb Strike, which can imbue terror on her, as well as raises her melee attack, can also be pretty nice. Especially once she's tired. Because she can struggle in the duels when she gets exhausted. And that will help her out a lot. She's got immune to contact effects, which can be a little underrated. Bone Giant's got some good shots on the Master Assassin early, who lost 800 HP on his very tiny health pool. Warp Fire Thrower is getting shot at by the Bone Giants now. Not a lot of value on these guys, though. A little sad, and Kalita getting massacred by the Teeth Breakers, man. Can't let it happen. Gotta stop this kind of a situation from developing. She took a bunch of unnecessary damage. I mean, she's reasonably tanky with armor, leadership, and the 5,900 HP, but you know, you lose HP pretty quickly against missiles. Gotta be a little more cautious. Skeleton Horse Archers way in the back line. I would highly recommend not sending them back there like this. Not a great situation for them. And Bone Giants just friendly firing. Fragging their own guys, brutalizing them, which is not ideal. Come on, do something. Stop killing your own dudes. Okay, they didn't that time, but they're still just not doing enough. I swear, dude, Bone Giants, such a depressing unit, man. Make them more accurate, give them 5 more ammo. That's not breaking them, I promise. They're not good enough as they are. So Kalita just rocking around, looking for some opportunities. Warp Lightning Cannon opening up. And Corsair is, you know, doing alright. Value trading reasonably well. Losing the Night Runners here. Clan Rats running. Gutter Runners with Poison Ninja Stars running as well. Big ouch. Nakara Horseman, man. Really pounded these guys, but they are in the Veil of Shadows right now, not able to escape, just constantly being locked down. No magic for the Tomb Kings, huh? You really need magic as Tomb Kings. They're pretty reliant on it. Excuse me. When you bring Kalita, you can bring a couple different lores that you otherwise wouldn't. You got death magic and also light magic. And then obviously the lore of Nakara is an option, but if you bring Kalita, light magic and death magic are probably what you're trying to bring anyways, and Spirit Leech against the Master Assassin would be pretty good right now. Pretty good. Also against the Eshin Sorcerer. Clan Rats move up on the... Oh, Skaven Slaves move up on the point. Recharge there and you'll win that fight. Skaven Slaves suck it. They'll just run away, man. Whew. Chosen of the Gods poking away at chaff. They got a bunch of kills and no value. Brutal. Come on, man. This is why Chosen of the Gods are better in reserve in some matchups, because sometimes the last thing you want to be doing is wasting ammo on Skaven Slaves slings or spears and stuff. It's only 146 value, man. Ain't worth nothing. The Bone Giants still plinking away, doing their best, but not getting much accomplished. Skeleton Horse Archers in the backline again, getting their value back. Not killing the cannon, though. Very unlucky. God, I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting hungry and a little tired here, but we got just a couple more replays to get through. Mutant Rat Ogre moving in. Gonna be trying to chase her down, beat her up. She does get a revenge attack in on this guy. The Bone Giant's trying to help peel for her, but just not able to hit the SCs. Chosen the God's having a little bit of problem with accuracy, too. Hitting some shots there, Skitter Leap going down, and Bone Giant finally making contact with the Rat. Friendly fire on Kalita, though. Come on, guys. Please don't do it. She is your ruler. These are obvious. Those are obviously Neferata sympathizers. Yeah, good shot on the Master Assassin. Screaming Skull Catapult still hammering the number 1. Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers. Big casualties, but Tomb Kings do have a decent amount of infantry. They're not overextending into the Skaven much, and Corsair has lost most of the weapon teams. And their melee units are just going to terror out and run away from the fear and terror available to the Tomb Kings. Kalita does go down, though. Master Assassin gets her. Gives her a little kidney chop, and down she goes. Come on, hit him. Oof. Barely missing, man. Master Assassin should be feeling real lucky right now. Is Skaven gonna get in this one? Maybe. It's a little unlikely. They've got some rallying stuff back here. Really good Ushabti summon, by the way. On top of the artillery crew here, as it gets summoned out. Just smacking it up real bad right now. This other Warp Lightning Cannon actually going down to the efforts of the Skeleton Warriors here, who may die to the Wolf Rats. We'll see. I mean, Wolf Rats have such bad leadership, they might just run away anyways. It should be a little unfortunate, but not the end of the world. Really loving this Ushabti summon back here. It's done big damage. Hasn't managed to kill all of the Plague Claw Catapult crew. A lot of these guys escaped. 46 models with 1600 HP. They'll be able to recrew pretty quickly. There we go. Rattling Guns opening up on the Nekar Horsemen. Big damage on those guys. Bone Giants move into the middle. Screaming Skull Catapult waiting for its opportunity. Skeleton Spears moving down the hill. You don't need this point. You don't need to be here. Getting up here and supporting the points you already have is enough right now, in my opinion.
One of your units has been destroyed.
600 gold Ushabti summon. Skeleton Horses like rocking up in here against the Night Runner Slings. Good cast of Veil of Shadows. And there you go. It's actually locking these guys down. Is this the overcast version? It is. Interesting. Okay, maybe the radius isn't deceiving me. I could have sworn it was bigger than it's showing right now. I don't know. We'd have to look later. Nekar Horsemen should be getting shot by the Warp Fire Throwers. They are kind of getting away with murder right now. Because the Skaven seem much more interested in the 2 Capweight Skeleton Warrior than the much more powerful Nekar Horseman, man. Shame, shame. Rattling Guns moving in. Trying to collapse and kill some of the big targets for the Tomb Kings, but Kyrian all over these guys, just mulching through them. Kyrian not great in terms of their damage output, but definitely good enough to be able to get through the 16 melee defense of a Rattling Gun. Again, Skaven weapon teams need more armor. Come on. Make them actually resilient to bow and skirmishers to some degree. Because they're just too squishy at 70 right now, in my opinion. It sucks running into any flyers as the Skaven. Because Furies, Carrion, Harpies even, Fellbats are also kind of annoying. Anything like that shutting down your weapon teams just sucks because those weapon teams can't do anything about it. They just fall off so badly. Bone Giants stomping around. These things are constructs. and they don't have great leadership, they could crumble. Or start to, yeah, they could start crumbling and then disintegrate out, and that would be pretty damn horrible for the Tomb Kings, man. It's triple cap territory, though. They've got enough units on the low ground. I think they're fine. It's mostly skeleton warriors. They got some horse archers. Number 3 flipped. Slowly flipping number 1. Come on, do something. Let's go. Come on, Tomb Kings. I'm not really a Tomb King fan, but for whatever reason, sometimes I just can't help but root for them. Like the catapult shooting into the Chosen of the Gods, trying to kill those guys. Wolfrat's charging down the hill, slowing up the cap, man. It's kind of wild. They didn't even need to move into the skeleton spear unit here. They could have just sat back and slowed the cap down. But I see the thought process there. It's not that big of a deal. Skelly Archer's rocking up. Again, looking for a chance to get some good damage done. Tomb Kings re-solidifying their value lead, and we do have the Bone Giants very beleaguered and depleted up top here. Not a lot of value to their name either. 500 and 900. There's 1,600 gold units. Again, that's why I think they need some buffs. They just don't get any love. They haven't for a long time. They got a little bit of a priority target change with this most recent patch, but I don't think it was enough. It's just the same general improvements to the targeting and weapon fire checks. I don't think it's made enough of a difference. And Skaven are going to be walking away with this win here. Just, sorry, the Tomb Kings over the Skaven. Skaven are just too pinned up on their deployment zone there. Little unfortunate for them, but it is what it is. Bone Giants didn't get a lot of value, but they were good cap weight at the end, I guess. So that's something, maybe? I don't know. I'm kind of shrugging my shoulders on that one. I'm a little baffled. But, you know, Skaven, not great leadership. I can see how they'd be terror routing and running away pretty commonly. 1 second, guys. I'll BRB. Alright, I return. Just had to grab something. Let me just, you know, very clumsily clatter around my room for a sec here. Anyways, moving on. No, we didn't watch this game. Okay, cool, cool, cool. So we got this and 2 more games, and then we'll be done. I've been having a blast, but I gotta say, I will be relieved to be finished. I am famished at this point. But I will be putting up this big old VOD, basically, is how I'm looking at it, you know. I didn't really want to do it live. I wanted to play a few games. I've been doing that a little bit on or off in between casting some of these. And I'll just try and mash it up as best I can. So there's not too much downtime. It's probably not going to be like the most perfect experience ever, but it shouldn't be too choppy. Anyways, Clan Rat's moving forward. Council Guard here. Avalanche Mortars chilling. Warp Lightning Cannons hanging out. Warp Fire Throwers all over the place. And yeah, Empress Croman, man, moving up, getting shot. 6 models lost real quick, man. Wow, Warp Lightning Cannon hitting accurately against something for a change. Who'd have thought? Grand Cannons, man, gonna be opening up here soon. And yes, thank goodness, somebody bringing disdain to the Dragon Emperor with the Zhangu War Drum. It's just far and away the superior stance to all the others. Gives melee attack to all your Jade Warriors. Increases reload skill. Look at this, man. Empress Croman going right for Marcus's Rattling guns. Oh no, but he didn't give the attack order soon enough, and they get shot up pretty badly. Come on. Oh, Karavdir, please don't let this happen. Okay, Empress Croman do land in. Onyx Croman landing on the other unit here. Avalanche Mortars getting shot at by the Grand Cannon. This might be a pretty quick game, just looking at it. Skaven are getting hammered pretty badly. Oh, and a really good Ancestral Warrior summon. Let's go, Karavdir, man. Yeah, those Poison Wind Globes are dead. The Ancestral Warriors are... Okay, so here's a little bit of a misapprehension that I've noticed people have. Lots of people think that this is a Jade Warrior Halberd summon that's just like ghostly. They're actually a Celestial Dragon Guard summon. There are no Jade Warrior Halberds out, but they've got the best stat line available for Cathay Infantry, basically. 3442, way better than the Jade Warrior Halberds, who have melee attack in the mid-20s. And I think the Jade Warrior Halberds, they've got 36 melee defense or something like that. So this is far and away a superior unit. And you actually see the Warp Fire Throwers doing respectable damage for a change. It's just a shame it's against a summon, and now they're getting closed on. Cannon did big damage to them. The Ancestral Warriors are on them. And Cathay running away with it right now. The Skaven just are not going to be able to do a whole lot here. Deathmaster Snicketch is out. Doesn't have any of the cool items, though. No Whirl of Weeping Blades, no Cloak of Shadows or whatever it is. That gives the leadership and melee defense debuff, which would be really damn good here. So, you know, a little sad to not see that, but it is what it is. Shugengan Lord on horseback has been casting Storm of Shadows pretty well. Ancestral Warriors is nice, but I would also like to see Talons. Talons of the Night is a really high direct damage AP spell. It's kind of like a, it's actually more like a Pit of Shades. It is technically a Vortex, I guess.
Keep it from the foe.
Yeah, okay, it's classified as a Vortex. It does big damage. It's very expensive, but all AP damage. Overcasting is the most effective way to use it. 8 AP per second, and it disrupts the units and keeps them locked in the Vortex. It'd be really good for clearing out the Council Guard Storm Vermin. It is nice to have an answer other than just missiles for the Storm Vermin Halberds and stuff. You know, you can fight them pretty easily in melee, but Cathay doesn't have good melee infantry, which is why I would say you should bring Talons just in case you see a bunch of Storm Vermin. But Cathay is going to be able to win this game. They're just like running rampant over the poor Skaven out here. Down goes the Doom Flare. Jade Lancers rolling through, getting over the Clan Rats, and going to be able to flatten them and kill them off. Good Wind Blast on the Council Guard, who are going down now, who've been dragged down by the Onyx Crowmen, as well as the Focus Fire from the bows here. Harmony aplenty around the field, and that reload skill, pretty juicy right now, man. Every 8 seconds, the Peasant Archers are firing, which is pretty awesome. Snicketch going down. Marcus, man. Ouch. Don't be too hard on yourself. You said it was a shameful display, but sometimes you just get called out, man, and you don't have the right build against your opponent. Karavdir just dived your undefended units really well, and you're more lickety-split on peeling for them, so that's kind of where we're, this is kind of where we're ending up as a result. Snicket's alive. Moving back in. Still not going to be very impactful, though. It just doesn't have any of the cool tools that he can really benefit from. And he does get hit by the cannons and then ends up routing like a coward. Empress's Crowmen back out on the field, landing on top of the Rattling guns. Wow, they got 3,000 plus value, man. Kind of scary stuff, and yeah. Skaven are going to get tabled, I think. Snicketch hit again. Rattling guns running again. Clan rats dying in droves again. A brood horror comes in though. Brood horrors are cool. They're a fun unit. Lots of stuff crumbles, but then you got all these dang Jade Lancers, peasant horsemen, as well as the Empress Crowmen. And yeah, that poor little brood horror, Storm of Shadows hitting it, shot up by the bowman here of Karathir, and also hammered by the Grand Cannon in the back. Probably gonna break. Yeah, it does break. Oof. And yeah, what's his face? Snake Itch has routed off the field. Skaven just no way back in, dude. Pretty brutal, but you know, don't be too hard on yourself. It's a learning experience after all. I would say you don't never bring warp fire throwers, especially not against a faction with good shooting and also armored infantry. These things suck to begin with. Just keep them off the field. I would say either avalanche mortars or a warp lightning cannon, not both. You have no protection for any of your weapon teams in the opening here. By the time you can get them out in the second wave, they'll have all died basically. So being a little more sparing would help tremendously there. Alright, let's go. We got Commissar versus Fabrosi. Dowie versus the Vampire Coast. This is an awful matchup for the Vampire Coast. It always has been. It's a little less terrible. Not much better than from the Warhammer 2 days, though. Generally speaking, the Dowie just have the range tools and the reasonably effective melee infantry to be able to grind down the Vampire Coast pretty safely, without too much issue. And they're rocking up in here with Bugman's Rangers, who long range, hard hitting, have a heal. Gonna be pretty hard to shut down with like hounds, and even with Mournguls, the Mournguls will struggle to lock them down in combat. I can see the Bugman's Rangers just having a whale of a time here. Rune Lord Garagrim and a Rune Smith out here. Master Rune of Groth One Eye gives leadership. Rune Negation is ward save, which is fine. I really think the Rune of Slowness is the best rune for the dwarves, but I don't hate the damage resistance one. It's pretty effective. You know, 100-meter range. You can just slap this on anything. I'm pretty sure, though, if you use one of these guys' Rune Negation... Oh, well, okay, so it goes on 120-second cooldown for one. The other, it just gets a 60-second cooldown. So you're looking to use one every 60 seconds and alternate them, is I'm guessing what the plan is. Which is a pretty good idea. Animated Hulks getting shot from range. Bugman's Rangers doing the damage. Animated Hulks cannot afford to get shot up here. Super squishy. They are your AP against the dwarves, other than the Mournguls. Because your deckhand mobs are obviously not going to cut it in melee combat. They will not do a damn thing to a Dowie warrior. Let alone a Longbeard. And Longbeards are actually decent at killing stuff. Their melee defense isn't amazing, but 30 is respectable with 48 melee defense. Woof. Don't want to tussle too much there. Cannons coming up. Number one objective held. We do get a dive back here. The Night Terrors all over the Bugmans here. Longbeards moving up to help out. Animated Hulks are going to die to the Longbeards here. Another Animated Hulk folding into combat, though. Need the deckhand mobs in on both these fights. Dowie don't have a lot on this point. Getting your deckhand mobs on the edge of the objective to start capping this away wouldn't be a bad idea. Mortars are not going to do anything. The only thing mortars are good against are lightly armored units like Bugmans, and I just don't see it getting a lot of value. We had a bloated corpse coming in, dude. Oh my god, bloated corpse time. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do damage. Come on. I hope it lands. Night Terrors, they're just too lonely. Like, Longbeards, like I said, not the biggest DPS unit in the game, but they're holding so long and giving so much time for the Bugmans to trade out really well here. And, I mean, they still got 400 value against a really dangerous Monsters Infantry unit, as well as some Depth Guard and the zombie deckhand mobs. The Bloated Corpse didn't get hit by the cannon. Managed to dodge the shot and is chasing down the Bugmans here. Oh, that's kind of funny, dude. Benny healing around the map here. Dowie, gonna be able to avoid that, but, you know, your Bugman's Rangers, like, out in the middle of nowhere now, not really doing a whole lot of anything. Dowie holding their back cap. We were talking about back caps last stream on Tuesday. This is why back pressure doesn't work out oftentimes, because the Dowie are just barely able to hold on to their point. They just keep trickling units in. And the Vampire Coast was able to get some momentum onto this point for a while, but just wasn't able to cap it in time. You can see the Dowie getting a Longbeard over here, but it's taken a lot longer to get up than the zombies who were already in position. They gonna be able to hold the cap? No, they're not. Very unfortunate. The Longbeards and the Rune Lord here, although the Longbeards are on the point, the Rune Lord not being on point is what's gonna lose the Dowie this objective, I think. It's taking ages, though. Oh, come on. Here comes the Bloated Corpse again, moving up, and Cannon looking to aim. There's been really good micro from both sides, but the Dowie with their heavily armored infantry are just getting a leg up that the Undead just can't deal with. Wow, and they hold the #1 objective as well. That's so crazy, dude. Oh my god, I'd be so peeved as for Brosi right now. Bloated Corpse is in the woods, hiding. Did take some damage, so it might pop next time it gets hit. Bows poking down, deckhand mobs, deck gunners out here doing some work. You got 800 and about 700 value over here. Slayers moving up, Longbeards sticking with it. Wow, Sirens took a big hammering from that mortar. Actually did respectable damage. I mean, this is another problem with mortars, man. They're so inaccurate that if they hit their own guys, they'll do some pretty gnarly damage. You know, there's Fizzres on Sirens, but it's not the most in the world. It's definitely not going to save them from mortars poking away their HP like that. Or sorry, the yeah, these mortars here. Dowie have a cannon. Vampire Coast is a mortar. The cannon is kind of winning out right now. It's got about 800 value. It's pretty much paid for itself, and the mortar has 400. It's got a little ways to go. It just hasn't been hitting very well. It's used like half its ammo, too. Disappointing. Big, big, big disappointment. #1 still held by the dwarves, dude. Bugmans, how much they got? 1,000 value. The other Bugmans did manage to get away. Did the Bloated Corpse get these guys? They need to buff Bloated Corpses, man. They used to one-shot infantry, now they do no damage. Get real. They're so easy to counteract as well. I'd really love to see Bloated Corpses be as devastating as they once were. Otherwise, they're just a huge waste of time. Kirgrim is up in combat next to the Rune Lord. Fighting with the Longbeards, holding on to this objective. For Brosi, push back pretty hard. Slayers keeping the Mournghouls back and get, you know, that Master Rune of Negation helping them Stay healthy. Stay in the fight, dude. It's 40% ward save on a unit that has no armor. That damage resistance, damn strong. Yeah, Dowie Cannon opening up on the mortar now. Mortar still hasn't gotten its value back. Disappoint. 1,000 on the cannon, getting more than its value back. Big, big success. And just a full survey from the Vampire Coast side of things. Looks grim, man. They got the Shade Wraith Gunners who are dropping models over here. Depth Guard trying their best. Mourngul's pretty beat up without any real value. Animated Hulk's retreating. Depth Guard hanging. Dat Gunners have been using all their ammo and just can't do anything, dude. What is going on with the Vampire Coast? So disappointing, man. I got a feel for Fabrosi on this one. I don't know what Vampire Coast does either. There's like not a lot of units you can bring and have success with. Everywhere but the unit that it's aiming at, I swear. Oh, it's a new mortar. Wow, dude. It's fired 5 volleys and has 34 value. What the hell? Ew. I'm gonna cry. Fabrosi, you got done dirty here. We're gonna fast forward through this because it's just gonna take ages before the Vampire Coast are like 100% done. There ain't no way they're winning this game though. Depth Guard are going down here. This is like the last hurrah. Even with that, Commissar secures an even deeper value lead. Really? Really, CA?
I knew it. Unending glory is yours.
Give our boys the Vampire Coast some more tools, man. I know it'd be a little difficult to make stuff up for them since they're, you know, like a pretty exclusive to Total Warhammer faction, but they need a little bit something more. That's all I'm saying. The roster is a little too limited. Does a little too much of the same stuff to, like, consistently win. Alright, guys. Last one we got here. We got Commissar going up against Pop Flux. A White Lion of Trace opener into an Ironbreaker opener from Commissar, who's got 2 Runesmiths here. Yeah, these are Runesmiths. And then a regular Dowie Lord with the Star Metal plate, I would guess. A couple Longbeards, a few Quarrelers. Just good solid units all around against the High Elves. We're going real hard into the AP Infantry. We'll see how it works out for them. Flamespire Phoenixes do have Wake of Fire, which is a strong explosive AoE ability. It won't do much to Ironbreakers or Longbeards. I mean, honestly, it won't even do much to Quarrelers. It's much better against Rangers and more lightly armored targets. So we'll see how it ends up playing out. I wouldn't expect a whole lot out of it, though. White Lions on the low ground on both sides. More White Lions. No Pure Main Company. That's fine. Archers in here. Light Mage with Barona's Time Warp and Net of Amontok. I don't know, though. Lots of shields and heavy armor for the Dowie. They might not care at all. It's a very real possibility. Ironbreakers are really scary, actually. They are insanely tanky. And their blasting charges hit really hard because they have extra damage as opposed to the minor variant. Got a lot more AP. Runesmith moving in. Ironbreakers. Yeah, tossing them in. They got little hand grenades. That's what they got. And you gotta remember, these guys get a 30% missile resist as well, which I'm pretty sure is active against the Ironbreaker grenades, but they just don't care, man. They just get chunked. Half their HP gone. Ironbreaker's fighting well over here. White Lions and Longbeards fighting on the other side. We are getting some magic. We get Barona's Time Warp over here. It should help a little bit against these Longbeards, but they do still have the Rune of Negation, which is just now wearing off. So those guys taking significantly less damage than they otherwise would be. And the High Elves being a little too passive on this side, I think. Get these guys over, get these archers up, dude. And open up on the engaged enemy infantry. That's the best thing you can do to help your forces out. Lion Chariots moving in, very good against the Dowie, of course. Flamespire Phoenix flying around overhead. Rahagir's Pride out and present for this combat. Another Barona's Time Warp. God, dude, it just does not seem to make a difference when fighting Longbeards. I mean, that 48 melee defense is pretty damn good. They're pretty consistent at being able to hold against their opponent's units. Ironbreakers got a blasting charge volley off on the Flamespire Phoenix and did a number on it, man. Oh my goodness. Grimdelvers looks like they also shot the Flamespire Phoenix, but it's going really well for the Dwarves. They're not out of the woods by any means, of course, but they're doing a pretty good job of chasing a lot of Pop Flux's units around and giving them a lot of grief. And the Ironbreakers nailing the Talons of Torquilita there. Absolute brutality. And second volley comes in as they bunch up, and wow. Okay. Wowee. Dead and gone. Poor old archers. Talons of Torquilita, no more, man. Dowie Lord in the back line. You know, this is why the spacing's so important, man. Something like this, with all of those missile units he had starting off with, will be much stronger than what's going on here. I need to take it. You know what? Here we go. It's a pretty nice screenshot. We got our thumbnail here. Dowie Lord holding the line by himself. Just occupying the attention of 5 units over here. Yeah, frickin' heck. No! Come on, High Elves. Don't let this happen, please. Pretty brutal. At least the Lion Chariots are doing well. I mean, they've run over a lot of the Dowie shooting. Grimdelvers are getting bullied pretty badly. There's more Bugman's Rangers moving out, though. They should be able to poke this chariot down eventually. More Quarrelers moving around the field. I'm so sorry. This Lion Chariot running over the Quarrelers. They're running. Rahagir's Pride rallying back in, getting on top of the Bugmans. Probably not enough. More Bugmans coming out. Dude, Commissar's Dowie build is just like missiles and expensive infantry, and that's pretty rare to see from the Dwarves. But it's been playing to his advantage in the tournament here. So why not keep doing it? And it's a fun playstyle for sure. Yeah, get them, Slayers. They're rushing in. Getting all over these War Lions now. They should be able to tear them to pieces pretty quickly. They are a little pushed off of the majority of the fight. But just anchoring here with the Longbeards should be a good situation for the Dowie. Number 3 held by the High Elves. Longbeard's about to flip that, and number 2 is held by the Dwarves. Brutal, man. High Elves faltering real bad. Pop Flux is keeping it relatively even, but man, this Archer play, dude. Come on. That's why I'm saying, Pop Flux, that I don't think Archers are really your thing. Like, you're just not playing well with them. You're better off cutting them and bringing more melee. Because I feel like all these Archers are kind of a waste of your time and attention. Truth be told. Something to keep in mind. I mean, seriously, try out some High Elf rushes for yourself and see how you do with them. And Allure Reaver Bowcav would, I mentioned them earlier, probably would also be a really good call. They're damn strong, long range, good, like, double up action with the, stats that they've got. The melee attack and melee defense is solid. So, you can use them rather than your bows to go into battle and maybe be able to do some respectable work. Kanan's looking to lock on to the Lore Masters of Hoeth, but they're almost in combat here. Although, immediately as I say that, they get brutalized by the cannon and lose 20 models. Ouch. That sucks, man. Oh my god. Ironbreakers with their extra charge defense nullify the charge bonus of the Swordmasters. Swordmasters should be able to clean this pocket up as long as they're not getting absolutely wrecked by shooting. Here's Bugman's Rangers here.
The enemy has slain our lord.
Archer shooting in. What died here? Where did the Lord die? What the hell? Oh, died back here somewhere. Yeah, oh my god, ouch. Alright, so yeah, the Flamespire Phoenix did him in. It's fairly healthy. As well as the Lion Chariot is fairly healthy, but the Dowie having a stranglehold on 2 points, almost capping the number 3, looking pretty good for them. I don't see the High Elves making too much of a comeback here, but miracles can happen, especially if you're getting good damage from your Chariot like that, man. I mean, half the HP on that Quarler melting in a matter of seconds. Longbeards with great weapons moving up. Ironbreakers chilling. More Longbeard great weapons. Swordmasters of Hoeth with 900 value. Pretty respectable. Wish they had a heal, though. Or if they had a little more HP. That'd also be pretty nice, but we can't have everything, I guess. Yeah, get him. Dude, this Dowie Runesmith just punted that Swordmaster. Really smacked him up. Yeah, Swordmaster's probably going to get their value back at the least. Not going to have a lot of HP left, though. About to drop below 25% and lose their martial prowess as well. Which they do indeed, right as we are speaking it into existence. Actually procs and happens. Now Swordmaster is benefiting from Barona's Time Warp, though. Not a lot of models left, to be fair. Only 28 remaining. Breaking the 1300 mark. Come on, there we go. Now they do. Really good Rune of Wrath and Ruin from one of the runesmiths. Big damage. Very devastating, truth be told. It's just 25 damage, 40% armor piercing. If you overcast, 30, 66, also pretty decent. Dowie hold the line, man. They got this, I think. They could kill this damn chariot, that'd be nice. I mean, Dowie have a hard time shutting down chariots, I guess. In reality, it's quite a difficult task for them. This Ironbreaker should go up to the high ground. Everything else just needs to rush in here and hold this point. almost triple cap territory, you don't really want to let your opponent get back in this one. Stop chasing the chariot, please. You're gonna lose the point here, which is unfortunate. 26 Longbeards on the low ground, capping. Quarrelers chillin'. What the hell is this? Oh, Master Negation pops. Okay. Oh man, I don't know what. I'm just dreading what's going on for the High Elves here. They just aren't able to get a lot of momentum, and they're flagging pretty badly. They got all these archers up on the point too, just in melee combat. Just trying to think of some strategies that Popflux could be using here to try and keep the lines a little bit more even and maybe performing a little bit better. I mean, to be fair, there have been some really good runes of negation from Commissar. Barona's Time Warp has just not been all that effective. Despite getting the extra melee attack, it's either being used on units that don't have a lot of AP, like the Rangers, or when it is hitting units with armor piercing, they're still struggling to get around the melee defense that the Dowie have access to here. Which is just putting them so far behind. It's quite ugly, honestly. I mean, Popflux has played pretty well here. This is really coming down to just the build being so frickin' solid for Commissar. I mean, it's just been very, very consistent with pressure and not leaving missiles unoccupied and clearing them out slowly but surely. Some pretty good runes have been cast all game. Got the Lord back out. Star Metal Plate, of course, active again. See the Runesmith. Oh, he's down here. Okay, so no more Rune of Wrath and Ruin, but this guy did get 1100 value, so obviously got some good uses out of it earlier regardless. Values even. Dowie, though, still have the caps, and are just pouring out more and more units. And down goes the Lord, and I wouldn't be surprised if Popflux kind of calls it here. Losing a lot of momentum, lots of routing. Dude, look at these white lines of Trace. 23 leadership, and they've got most of their HP. What absolute babies. Cowards rally, I swear. And these Rangers aren't any better, man. Like, 82 of them left. They've got, you know, like a good third of their HP. And they're running away. And that's going to be bye-bye. Bye-bye, White Lions. You know, as decent as they are, they're just not able to get through the Iron Breakers, man, who have just been holding all freaking game. And the Longbeard Great Weapon's also a real pain. Regular Longbeard's also getting pretty amazing value across the board, man. What in the heck? This is a revelation to me, this Dowie build. I actually really like this. Seems damn good, against a lot of factions, too. I mean, Dowie Miners getting nerfed definitely has hindered them a little bit this season. They're still respectable, don't get me wrong, the Miners, with blasting charges, but not nearly as dominant as they once were, because they lost that AP on the blasting charges themselves. So maybe going for these just like higher quality front lines for the dwarves will end up being what they fall back on a more regular basis. I think you can still fit in blasting charges into a build like this, but you probably are going to end up bringing like Ekrins and then like one other minor blasting charge and using them in Vanguard deploy to get up to points quickly and shoot at stuff. But Maybe not. Maybe just Bugmans and Grimdelvers and lots of melee infantry. Isn't as bad as I once thought it was, especially with the Runesmith support. I mean, the Ironbreakers were absolute chads that game. They just smacked up the high elf front line. They didn't give two hoots about the White Lion Corps coming in. And they just ground down all the Rangers. The Swordmasters were nice. The Chariot was amazing. That was really strong. Cutting this... Although, maybe you need an Eagle. I don't know. I mean, one Eagle against a bunch of Gyrocopters, is that really going to do anything? Maybe cutting the Eagle and one of the War Lions of Trace and getting another Chariot would work out. I think that could help against this build. Because the Dowie didn't have anything to slow this down or kill it, really. So, I think that might be the ticket for Pop Flux. Or you can just get rid of all these damn archers. The archer play is just not been all that good, Pop. I think that you're secretly a Rush faction main. Don't quote me on that, but maybe try out something that's a little bit more aggressive as a faction, and report back to me on that. Alright, guys. That's going to be it for these. I'll do a separate cast of this. Actually, I did a live cast. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I might just upload that raw, because I think it's pretty fun to do the live cast and get a little bit of a peek behind the curtain of just like, you know, how to play games live in pretty high level games. Fish is a really good player. Is one of our previous winners for the new player tournaments. In fact, won it with Ogre Kingdoms a long time ago, and has been steadily improving in the advanced player tournaments, and had a pretty good game here, so keep an eye out for that. Anyways, that's going to be it for a pretty long, just big-ass replay VOD. So, check it out, watch it as you please, and let me know what you think. I'm going to, you know, of course, compress this, because I've been casting this on and off for the last, like, 5 hours. You know, I played a game in between this, eating some snacks, damn near dozed off during one of these games. I was dozing off in that last Dowie game a little bit, in fact. I just had a pretty busy week and a long day, so feeling the effects of that for sure, but we held out there till the very end. So, take care, guys, and peace out. GG's.